change spots.
Amateur.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's all right.
We're not live yet.
Okay.
We are live.
Hey, everybody. What's going
Okay. Thank you all for joining us today for another last-minute live stream with Harry and Mo. We're going to try to wrap up the app we started building last week. So for those of you who joined us, we were trying to build an app that took the Instagram posts of any Shopify merchant and synchronized them to their store's Metaobjects and stored them there. And that way, other app developers and anyone else looking to kind of build functionality with those posts could do so in a performant way, fetching them from Shopify's Metaobjects, as opposed to trying to grab them directly from Instagram from the front end. So last week, and by the way, the live stream for last week is on our channel. We're still going to clean it up and make it a bit shorter, but you can watch the entire 3.5 hours of Harry going crazy and building the OAuth to Instagram, so an admin UI inside Shopify that allows the merchant to authenticate with their Instagram account, then fetching all of the Instagram posts and sending them to Shopify. What we're going to try to do today is add a queue in between Gadget and Shopify so that when we're, if a really large store installs our app and we fetch, 20,000 Instagram posts, that might be a bit far-fetched, but let's say we do, and we try to send that off to Shopify. Obviously, we're going to hit rate limit, so we need to slow down the rate at which we're sending data, and we're going to use a background job in between Gadget and Shopify to get that set up. So Harry's going to walk you through that. And then I will take over and show you a new landing page template that we've built that you can use for your kind of one-pager when you're submitting a Shopify app to the Shopify App Store. And you can use it in Gadget. Now, we don't have server-side rendering, and we'll talk about that and when you should do this and when you should not. You can customize the template really quickly and get your one-pager up, and then we'll submit the app to the App Store, either on the video here, or I might just go fill out the form afterwards and submit it separately using the same content that I write for the website. So we'll let Harry take over as usual. He'll drive and kind of do the background job work, and then we'll come back to me. And like last week, I might turn off my camera and microphone, eat lunch, and see if Harry can add a background job before I can finish my fried chicken. All right, here's Harry.
Goals. Yeah, thanks so much again for coming to join us with while we do all this stuff. It's really fun for me, at least, to get to share like all these things that we built and to talk about it and to hear kind of what y'all make of sort of the stuff that we're working on. So yeah. So I just want to review the to-dos. We did a bunch of stuff last time. This time we're going to improve the rate limiting, do some indexing, and then do that queue thing that Mo mentioned. And then Mo's going to take over and do that homepage. I think the pagination stuff should be interesting too. And I think if for bonus points, I would love to try to build a little utility that we can actually share with the community when we're done that sort of does this auto pagination of all the stuff for you. So let's get into it. I'm going to go to Instagram postsync.gadget.app. This is the app we were working on last weekend. And fire up file sync, which is the kind of the Gadget way to work, with VS Code locally against your system. So I'll go over to my terminal, new window here, and run the file sync command. And I just got to get my head back into this app. And so I think I'll start with something easier than the queue and maybe do this fixed schema name for nice display. So the app loads the meta fields the meta objects into Shopify with a name, and the name right now we're using is just the Instagram post ID, and I think it'd be a lot nicer to just make it a little bit kind of easier for the shop to understand. I want to show you what the heck I'm talking about real quick though. Gadget manages all the stores that have installed your app in the Shopify shop model, so I can remember which store I friggin' was testing with just by going to the Shopify shop model data and then going to this test shop over here. We'll just log in. Hey, they changed the background of that login page. That's nice. And then I think that was actually for the wrong app. Let's see how this is doing. There's going to be our nice UI. Yeah, nice. So over in the meta objects, see this like nasty title where we've loaded all this in. I would like to improve that. So in my directory that file sync started to, home folder gadget, Instagram post sync, I'm just going to change it to there and start up VS Code. And let's find the meta object save mutation. This is an action we created on the Instagram post model that generates the meta object definition, then makes a call to Shopify's GraphQL API to actually create it. And then this whole nonsense is the kind of upserting, where Shopify doesn't actually support real upserting, so we have to like track if we've made it. If we have already made it, we update it. Otherwise, we create it. And so I think what I want to do is just change the data that we're actually saving here to be that makes sense as a handle. But I guess we need a title. Shopify Metaobjects. I forget what it is. It's like description or title or something like that. Display name. Yeah, that's what we want. Do we need any additional commands to push changes to reflect in Gadget? It is on save, Tyler. That is a great question, and it's kind of notable, right? In Gadget, your application is running like in the cloud, right? So here is my kind of dev logs for Gadget, where you can see these are the requests that me loading up that front end was making. So this isn't running on my local computer; it's running in the cloud. And for Shopify app development, that's super handy because my like webhooks and whatnot all go to this like live instance. I can do like big high volume syncs instead of like running them locally. My data is kind of more fungible and it works exactly the same way as production, but as a corollary, it's kind of you have to like change the code on this running cloud platform. And so what file sync does is kind of live changes where if I go over here and I save this file with Command S, go back to the terminal, you'll see it synced that file kind of right away. And we've worked really hard on this to make it kind of robust and reliable. But it's weird, right? It's kind of like the FTP style development of yesteryear. Yeah. So the display name, I think we should call it, oh God, I'm using a different keyboard and I use like the Vim bindings in VS Code, and I use caps lock as the escape key, and every time I switch, where's the thing? Keyboard shortcuts. Yeah. U should be escape. Nerd. How about now? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So we'll call this post and or post maybe. Oh, that's what you named it, right? Insta post. Sorry if you're on mute.
That is correct.
Okay, perfect. And what should we call it? I guess we don't really have a title. We just have the caption. Maybe I'll just use the date and the truncated caption. To locale date string. How about that? Instapost, the date, dash the caption. That seems nice to me. So then I'll go back to, Chrome here. And in the Shopify, I'm just going to delete everything. Oh, right, they don't have this. Or they do have this. Nice. Just because I want to resync it from my Gadget app, and I'm going to delete the posts here. And then I think I had an action here where I said sync posts to Shopify. oh no, but that sucks them all in. What did I do? Ingest posts. Yeah. So I'll go run this in the API playground, and I think my account ID is 1, if I recall correctly. Yep. Nope, it's 6. Undefined is not iterable. In sync posts on line 25. Page.data. Oh, you know what? This is another bug we have to fix today. So previously, on the last stream, we set up the OAuth to do a connection to Instagram. And we have kind of an account name here that gets an access token, but Instagram access tokens expire. They expire after 1 hour. So this token is now invalid, and my OAuth code wasn't kind of able to handle that. So I'm just going to delete this, and we'll go back and kind of re-OAuth within the app. And I'll get a new access token just so I can test my name thing, and then maybe we'll work on that re-OAuth thing. So I will connect here. We'll allow once more. Wait for the super slow admin to load, and then there we're seeing a sync happen. That's awesome. And then if I go to manage Metaobjects, oh right, sorry, gotta run this. Oh, and the ID's changed. It's 7. That makes sense. Let that go do its thing. Yeah, there's my error from before. Instagram ID is not unique. Huh. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is just kind of re-ingest all the posts from Instagram in order to trigger a resync that should be saving all the new things to Shopify. And I think we'll see some here. No. So, and then what's happening is during the big sync to Shopify, within our Instagram post create action, we're saving, and it's complaining that it can't be saved because the ID is not unique. But that doesn't make sense to me because these are here. So maybe it's accidentally saving it more than once. Or maybe I misunderstood the uniqueness of this field. Like, to me, that looks exactly like the ID of the thing. Why don't we log it out and see what the deal is? Like I'm setting, so this is in the Instagram account, sync posts. This is the thing that goes off and makes a call to Instagram, maps over the return data from Instagram, and tries to create a record within Gadget to save it. We're setting the Instagram ID to media ID, and what we're getting is a log saying Instagram post is not ID, Instagram ID is not unique. Maybe it's null. Maybe that's what's happening. See, this creating record doesn't say what it was trying to create, does it? I'm just gonna take this object here, say const post data. Is this object? We'll do a console.log post data, and then we'll create with the post data instead. Oh, this is another kind of Gadget ism that I think we should share, which is that logger.info is an instance of a fancier logger, a thing called Pinot, and it's a high performance one. So it goes a lot faster than console.log at scale, and it gives us all this like nice formatting where you can kind of get these like tagged doodads that come out with your log entry. So where possible, it's like nice to use logger.info, but it's not strictly necessary. Console.log works fine. So we'll say creating Instagram post, and then actually make the call, and then we'll say we've saved it. And then I'm just gonna run my sync again. And I think we should see, yeah, that error. And if I scroll down, find the new console log we added, creating Instagram post. Oh, I think I know what it is. It's that we're creating it every time, but if it already exists, it's gonna break. We need this to upsert as well. So I think I've just never run a sync on the same account twice before. Time to make that work. What's the best way to do that? do it in serial like this, where I'll say const existing post equals wait API.Instagram post find one, or I guess I'll do find first, and we'll filter it down to say Instagram ID, media ID, like that. If existing post, we'll do an await API.Instagram post.update with the post data. And this actually goes here. It's, existing post.id. It's funny, we haven't GitHub Copilot hasn't figured out Gadget completely yet. I'm just going to move my log statement there. We'll say updating existing Instagram post. Oh, I got this backwards. And it's saying, account record.id post. We'll do a let post here and assign it here. Tyler asked, is there a way to show specific logs client-side if you wanted to show some sort of change log? Do you mean like a change log of the data in the database, or like a change log to your users about what's new about your application? I'm just curious. Let's try that once more with the sync. Filter got an invalid value. Oh, right. Filter Instagram ID should be equals media.id, like that. Record not found. Gadget API return no data Instagram posts. Huh. That's weird. No data. Oh, find first. Frig. Find first yells if there is no record found. What I want is maybe find first, which just returns null. If, yeah. So, Taylor asked if the recently synced stuff could be showed client-side. 100%. I think like the way I would do that is I would, within my Gadget app kind of front end, I would just gather a list of the top 10 objects kind of sorted by the update date, descending. So like the top 10 most recently updated objects, and then you could put them there. And I think we actually, on our homepage here, I did a really janky looking one. Oh, Mo, that's maybe a to-do item for Mike when he comes online, is to give me a not terrible design for the recently synced list.
He won't be coming, but I'll see if I can figure something out for you.
Yeah, you and me could hop into Figma mode and do it. I bet we could take it on, one list of sorted objects. Anyways, I'm doing almost exactly that here, Taylor, where I say I'm going to get the posts and then render a list with just a crappy UL of each of the posts. And those posts come from the Gadget client-side hooks, where I can say I want to use find many, API Instagram.post. I want the first 10, and I'm going to sort them by created at descending, which is to say all the ones that are most recently created. And then this thing is a newly launched feature of Gadget, which says I want a real-time subscription to the result of this data, where as new posts come in, this React hook will trigger a re-render of the component and kind of update as those new posts come in, where I don't have to like push events across a bus or set up a WebSocket to listen or whatever. I just say live true, and I kind of get a real-time view of that backend data as it changes. Yes. So anyways, I changed my syncy thing to maybe find first, and that should allow me to update existing ones. And I guess I can just make this a little bit terser and say post data. And otherwise we'll create. That's not super great transactionally, and there's a fancier way to do it, but I'm just gonna go with this for now because I think it's simpler, and I trust myself to not in-queue multiple ingests at the same time. Right. Created at to locale date string. So that's in the very original thing I was trying to do, which is set the meta object title. So back over an Instagram post, sync to Shopify, I was changing the title, and I think it's just because this is a record, and its field is called, oh, right, I remember. This is a bug we found last time that I didn't fix this week. This is actually a string, and the types are lying. So we got to turn it into a date and then to locale string it. Oops. And there, that's going to go off. It's going to do its thing concurrently. It's provided invalid value for display name. Okay, so this is a request error coming back from Shopify this time. Like, this is Shopify saying the meta object in the GraphQL call we made to Shopify has provided an invalid value. And field is not defined. Oh. Oh, I guess I stole this from the output. But maybe that's not how you send it in. So let's see, create meta object. Meta object create. Handle fields. I guess maybe you set it at definition time. Display name key. Yeah, the name of a field to reference as the display name for meta objects of this type. That makes sense. So we need a new field. It's not a top level object out here. We need a new field. We'll call it name. And we'll pass this string instead. And then I need this super annoying thing to change my Shopify shop. Where is it here? Meta object definition. I need to I need to tell Shopify I'm changing the schema of the meta objects I'm going to send to it, right? So we have this code from last time where we upsert a meta object definition to tell Shopify what the shape of each Instagram post is going to be. And I said it had a caption, image, yada, yada, yada. We need a new one here, which I called name. Say this is a name. Oops. We'll call it name. Name, and it's a single line text field, I guess. Oh, and that means I probably need to replace new lines. This happened last time when I said record.caption was going to be a multi-line or a single line string, and then Shopify yelled at me because some of my Instagram captions had line breaks in them. So here, if I don't replace the line breaks, one of those line breaks could sneak into the title and break this whole thing, which is super annoying. Anyways, so we have a name, and then what I'm supposed to set is the display name key, I guess. Display name key, yeah. Display name key. Say that's the name. Excellent. Now I need to actually save those meta object definitions to my Shopify shop model. So I'm going to open the playground and run this action. I just need to get the actual ID of my Shopify shop model here. That should run. Make calls to Shopify, status okay, excellent. And then we can try a sync once more. We'll see if those names show up right. Value, oh my God, value must be a single line text string. That's exactly the error I was trying to avoid. Let's see if the logs will show us which one that failed on. So there's that, remember I added my update thing to log out the object that we're creating? I was trying to find which one actually, oh yeah, there it is. There are those new lines. So I think my replace isn't working. Oh, you know what I did wrong? This is some ridiculous computer bullshit. In JavaScript, regular expressions aren't global by default. And what global means is if you ask them to match a string, they'll only do it the first match by default until you pass this G flag to say match all the strings. And that is just the most like friggin' alchemy arcane nonsense, if you ask me. It's like so subtle that anyone would ever remember to do that. Programming. Okay. No. Excellent. It looks to have worked. Let's go back to our store here and refresh. Nice. Instapost. Perfect. Excellent. I feel like that looks a little bit weird without dot, dot, dot. So I am going to make it look just a little bit better. I'm going to refactor this into a string or into a function. We can do refactor here, extract to function in module scope, and we'll call this insta meta object title. And this is a really interesting thing. I remember when I was learning to program, everyone always complained about tools like Eclipse. If you're familiar with Eclipse, Eclipse is like a Java IDE that's open source. Here, Eclipse screenshots, and it's in my mind, it's kind of the canonical example of like big, complicated software development environment that has like many different features, right? Like, I don't know if you can tell in all these like tabs here. How do I make this bigger? There's just a gazillion different features of this thing. And like, it seems like the programming community, at least in Rails, where it's just like kind of what I did for a long time, kind of rejected that. Hey, Jack, I'll answer your question in just a second. The programming community rejected these like big, thick software development environments that had all these features and instead embraced things like Sublime Text or TextMate or whatever. And then VS Code came along, and it looks like Sublime Text and TextMate, but it's got all the features of Eclipse, and it's like this like sneaky like Trojan horse into programmers' minds, where it's like, we're going to give you the simplest text editor we can. It's not going to feel hard to learn. It's going to like just work for your autocomplete and stuff. And just like buried in these like tiny little menus, where if like you right click, you get this like incredibly rich functionality you can use to do stuff. So I think it's really cool that they've like made the IDE a thing people might want to use again, and they had to be sneaky about it. Jack in the chat asked, "What does suspense true do?" And that is a great question. I will pull up the front end to show you. So generally speaking, in React, your component needs to deal with the fact that the data may be loaded or loading still, right? So use find first, or like if you use like a React hooks library that uses fetch under the hood, or a GraphQL library, whatever, they usually return you kind of this triple of data, where they say, we're going to give you the data if it's arrived yet. We're going to give you a Boolean called fetching in this case that says, okay, it's loading right now or not, and an error if it's happened. And at the start, when this thing's invoked, data will be null, fetching will be true, and error will be null. And then the request will go out, it'll happen asynchronously, blah, 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 blah. And then eventually it'll come back, you'll either get data or an error, and fetching will go false. What this allows you to do is kind of like model the loading state, right? Like if you want to render a spinner when fetching is true, then you render a spinner, and then when the data comes back and the data's there, you hide the spinner and show the data. But during that time, like if the user's on a slow internet connection or whatever, they could interact with your app, right? They could navigate away, they could like create another record, they could do all this other stuff. So that's why React components are like synchronous, right? I can't like await a fetch in here. And so that they force you to kind of always be rendering the latest state without, or having to deal with all the complexity of all the intermediate states around loading or errors or whatever. Suspense is a kind of new age way of dealing with that makes it a lot simpler. So what suspense says is, instead of this component has to deal with the fact that this call might be fetching, this call might be fetching, this call might be fetching, like there's too many of them to deal with. It just says abort the rendering of this component if it's in a fetching state. So it's kind of like a React 18, or it's a new thing in React 18 that wasn't there before. But instead of you having to like actually ask for fetching, you can see I don't ask for fetching an error from this data fetch call. Instead, I just press suspense true. And then what happens is this line will invoke on the first render. Because it's in suspense mode, what it actually does is it throws an error if the data is not here yet. it throws an error. This line afterwards never executes because it throws, and React then catches that error, and it's like, aha, I've noticed you want to suspend rendering, and it shows a spinner for you. Or you kind of wire it up and you decide how to show a spinner. But it means that you basically, you don't have to make every single component that you have deal with this friggin' annoying fetching state. You can just say, this component can't render right now. It doesn't have the data it needs, and a parent component has to catch that and deal with it. But it basically lets you say, I have one spinner at the top. Anything that suspends is going to show that spinner, and then they'll only render when they get the whole thing. Because it's just like onerous to deal with that. That was a long-winded explanation, but it's very fancy to think about, and it's very simple to invoke. You just say suspends true like this, and it throws, and you're good. Let me know if that wasn't clear. I'm happy to talk about it more. Right, what I was doing was making a nicer title function here. We'll say that the caption is the new line replaced caption, and then I'll say if caption greater than 50, caption will become caption slice 0 to 50. We'll just take the first 50 characters, and then we'll add an ellipsis onto it to make it a little bit nicer looking. That's the thing I was trying to fix. And we have our little function here that's just being called in the definition here to keep this a little bit terser. Let's do another sync to update those in Shopify, and then we'll just make sure that it actually shows up right. Where are my dots? I wonder if the... Oh, I think I know what's happening. So, have this sync posts action on an account where one shop links to one Instagram account, and when that link happens, we call like sync posts, and it'll go off, get the post from Instagram, create or update those posts. So when I call Instagram post.create or Instagram post.update, it's going to come in here. It's going to call Instagram post actions create or Instagram post actions update. And I put the call to say, okay, when a create happens, sync it to Shopify for a post, but I forgot to do that for update. So I'm just going to add the same line that I have in create here to also be an update. And then when we make the call to sync again, we won't be creating any new posts because they're all already in our Gadget app, but we will be updating them. And so now that should still, record not found. How does that make any sense? Record not found. Oh, this is from Shopify. God, that's confusing. This isn't a Gadget error. This is during sync to Shopify. Shopify's saying record not found. Oh, right. And that's because I'm a silly goose. For silly reasons that I don't really want to get into, we started storing the Metaobject ID representing each Instagram post within Gadget, and that lets us know if we need to create it or update it. And because I deleted them, Shopify side, this is now at a date. This is saying this Instagram post is represented by an object Shopify side with this ID, but I deleted it, so it's updating. So I think this is actually a real bug. I should probably catch that and say, oh, Shopify side, it was deleted. We're just going to recreate it. So in the post in sync to Shopify, we say, we have the meta object, existing ID. And I think what I'll say is try to update it, catch an error, say if the, wait, record not found. Right. It's not actually a catch because this, sorry, GraphQL in all its wisdom is very special, and making a call that fails sometimes doesn't actually throw an error. Instead, it returns a response to you whose errors you need to inspect. So we figured that out last time for the Shopify API. It's response.usererrors.length that we have to look at, and we're the one actually throwing the error that interrupts the call chain. So up here, if the update fails because the object doesn't exist within Shopify, we have to check for it explicitly. So I'm going to do if response.usererrors.length, and I'm going to say it looks like the user errors field or user errors 0.message would be record not found. Response.usererrors.0. Whoops. We will do the create. This is getting a little bit hairy in this code, but I think maybe the move is to refactor it later. And then, so what this will do is reassign to the response variable, and we handle the kind of checking for errors as a result of this create down here, which is good. And we also always say we're going to update this column, the meta object ID column here, to make sure that it's synced. Okay, so let me, before I actually change the data again, run this sync again, and we'll see if we get the objects recreated in Shopify correctly. God, syncing data, always difficult, so annoying. That looks like it's taking a bit longer. Updating existing, nice, nice. If I go back over here, there we go. Aha, look at my little ellipses. Okay, cool. So, I'm feeling good about that. We've improved the robustness of the sync to Shopify, and we have improved the title. Let's do the queue.
Quick question,
we've all
Harry.
been waiting for. Yeah.
Are you syncing the image URL, the images themselves, or?
So, last time we cheated.
Okay.
And we are syncing the image URL, but we used Gadget's file storage for it.
Okay.
Which is fine technically, but a little more expensive than it needs to be.
Yep.
Because Shopify has free storage, and I know our Parisian friend was asking us to use the shared storage, which I think is a good idea. Like, why pay twice if you don't have to? But I'm just kind of lazy. I don't really want to mess with that because it's complicated. So, and it'll be us paying for it, right? If we're hosting this app, so I'm gonna leave it as so for now. Is that what you were asking about?
Yep.
Okay. So let's queue the rights to Shopify. First off, what is the actual problem we're trying to solve? Shopify API rate limits. I don't know how many folks watching the stream have worked with Shopify a lot before, but this is the number one enemy in the Shopify ecosystem, if you ask me. It is so incredibly annoying. I think, if I had to guess, it's because Shopify doesn't get paid per API call. Like, their API exists kind of to facilitate extensions to the merchant's well-being, but they're like, the partners don't have any leverage over Shopify to be like, give us more API, and it costs Shopify money to serve the API, so they have incredibly restrictive rate limits. 2 requests per second for non-plus stores. That's so low. It's so low. So at Gadget, we've, as Mo's adding in the chat, we've built a lot of handling for getting around this, where we sync the data out of Shopify's super slow DB or super inaccessible DB, I should say, into ours, where you can hammer it as much as you want, and you kind of, you get to go fast. But for writes, you're kind of sunk, right? Gadget can kind of cache the data, and you can read it as much as you want. But for writes, it's it's got to go to Shopify. Shopify's the authority. You've got to handle all the consistency concerns and so on and so forth. So it's we're limited to 2 writes a second. And you'll notice when I was running those actions in the playground, this took a long time. This took 30 seconds, right? Just to sync whatever it is, 50 posts. And honestly, I think the reason for that is probably that we're hitting the Instagram or the Shopify API rate limit and having to like throttle the rate at which we were adding these things. This store is just a partner's test store that doesn't have one of the big fancy extended rate limits. So super duper annoying, and it's something Shopify could really help with. They just choose not to, which frustrates the heck out of me. And it leaves us to deal with the complexity of being like, okay, how are we going to funnel a huge amount of work through this tiny little, keyhole of API calls that we're allowed to make? And the best strategy, if you ask me, is queuing. It's to line up all the rights in a line, kind of like waiting to get on a roller coaster or whatever, and then only admitting as many of them as you can. And to queue like that, you need this new piece, which I would call like a state store. You need some like doodad somewhere that kind of lists all the rights that you want to make, and then pulls a few off the front and slowly consumes it, until it's ready to go. And a key piece of this is that it would retry if the queued item fails. So Gadget's Shopify API client, like if I go here, where I'm doing await Shopify.graphql, this is making an API call to Shopify. It has some rate limit handling built in, where if under the hood the first request gets a rate limit exceeded error, it'll sleep for a little bit and try again. If that one fails, it'll sleep for a little bit longer and try again. But there's a limit to that, right? It's not really safe to just sit there and retry for forever. If you have like a user waiting on this spinner to work, it's a super bad experience to leave that spinning for an hour. And so instead of just relying on this kind of lightweight retry, we're going to add all these rights that we want to make into a queue and kind of process them as fast as we can. So we're actually in the middle of building a feature to do exactly this, like within Gadget right now, called background actions. But it's not really ready for prime time yet, and so we're just going to use the kind of next best thing that's already available on the internet, just to kind of demonstrate it, and then we'll probably port this queue to the new thing when it's available. But we're going to use a thing called Google Cloud Tasks. Google Cloud Tasks is that state store where we were able to say, hey, Google, I want you to run this task for me. And then they'll run it. They'll give you the kind of instrumentation that says, okay, it's running. Okay, this one failed. This one needed 18,000 retries, like so on and so forth. And the reason why we like it is because a task to Google Cloud Tasks is just them actually making a HTTP call. And so what we can say is that the task here is actually just a HTTP call back to Gadget to attempt the write. And Google will take care of the call us again later, call us again later, give us kind of instrumentation about, if it's happened yet or not, limit the rate at which it happens, so on and so forth. So the Gadget docs have some, where are we here? Google Cloud Tasks. Some tutorials here that show how to do this yourself. So I'm going to go pretty quick and set this up. And give some examples and stuff. But if you ever want to do this yourself and you want to get all the friggin' annoying config right in Google Cloud Tasks, you can come find this tutorial and execute it. So what I'm going to do is set up Google Cloud Tasks on a test project. So if I go to the console here, maybe I'll create a new project. We'll call it, actually I'm going to do it on the Gadget org. We'll call it Instaposts. Set that up, and then I will go to Cloud Tasks in the Google console. There we go. We'll enable that on the project. And then right, the next step is to create a queue. Is it? Create push queue. Okay. Oh, right. Here we go. That Google Console's so bad. What we were looking at is not the Cloud Tasks dashboard. It's the API services page for the Cloud Tasks dashboard, which is not a page that's very useful or where I want to be after I ask to use a feature. This also looks to be kind of broken. An unknown error has occurred. Nice. I think that this is the Google Cloud dashboard getting like freaked out about the fact that I'm logged in as two different people. Like I have my personal and then my Gadget email here. And what happens is this auth user thing gets added to the URL, but their handling of it's really janky. Anyways, let's try again. We'll go to Cloud Tasks. And there we are. Now we're in Cloud Tasks for Instaposts with auth user 1. Very good. Let's create a push queue. We'll call it dev posts sync. Gadget runs itself in US Central 1, so I'm just going to put it there because it's kind of handy. And max dispatches per second. Look, Google's like, yeah, we'll give you a huge rate of throughput because most systems are used to that. And Shopify's like, lol. So we'll make this, how about 10? And the max concurrent dispatches is also 10. I'm okay to attempt 100 times. That seems like that should overcome even the biggest kind of wildest influxes of Instagram posts. And I'm just going to leave these kind of like retry back off settings as they are. Dev post sync. Barbecue is a weird name for a queue. That's for sure. Okay, so we've got our queue. Now we need, yes, the service account. Going to go to this page here. Service accounts. We will create a Gadget app service account. And what this is like Google's very complicated but very powerful kind of authentication management system where you're like able to say different entities have different permissions on my queue. Some can read, some can push, etc., etc. It's kind of the full cloud security permissions model that is genuinely quite complicated. But this is going to be Gadget apps identity, and I'm pretty sure Riley in our tutorial has given us they have to be Cloud Tasks in Queuer and Service Account User. Tasks in Queuer, Service Account User. And I don't think anyone needs to use this service account. We just need the credentials for it. And then we need a key for this service account. And what this key is the kind of like thing that proves Gadget or my Gadget app will have the identity to act as the service account within Google Cloud. And so we have to get that key into Gadget and then tell it to use it. And so we need to do a bunch of environment variables in our Gadget app to then make use of that key. So I'm just going to pull this out here. Say gcloud service account email is this value here. Oops. And gcloud project ID. What do we call it? Instaposts. Oh, this one. Okay. gcloud queue. We called it if I go back here a bunch, dev post sync, and I'm going to create a second one for prod when we go to prod because I want independent rate limits between the two. And then gcloud location. I think that's supposed to be US Central 1. Yeah. Central 1, like that. And then target service URL. So in this case, it'll actually be back to this Gadget app, right? We're going to say, Google, I want you to run a task, but I don't want to upload a whole function to Google. I don't want to like deploy a second chunk of my app. into a different platform, I'm just going to reuse my Gadget app as the kind of task executor. So what we'll say is, I want you to call back and run a route on my application once you're done. And then I'm just going to pull this off screen for a second and paste in the private credentials there for the private key. What was it called? Window Instaposts 4046. So what I'm doing, cat will echo this out to the command line, and then if I do pb copy, this is like a command built into OS X that puts it on my clipboard for me, which is really handy. And I can go over to this other window and paste it, and y'all are none the wiser. Ninja move. Okay, so we've got our gcloud service account key there. That's been set and encrypted, which is nice. We've got our project queue. That all looks right to me. I'm sure that the proof will be in the pudding, and then we'll install the Cloud Tasks client. This is a Gadget feature you might not have seen. If you want to run a specific terminal command in the context of your application in that production development environment we were talking about at the beginning, you can do yarn add or whatever you want. And then this will add that package to our package JSON, and it saves us from having to go in here and kind of modify it manually ourselves. And then what we need to do is actually add the task to the task queue. So I'm going to go over to our Instagram post, and I think maybe the way I'm going to structure this is we have this action already synced to Shopify that does the thing, and I think I'm going to keep this action that does the thing separate from the action that enqueues the doing of the thing. So I'm going to go to our post model here and add another action, which is enqueue Shopify sync. And then what this will do is do the Google Cloud thing to enqueue it, and the task itself will then actually run this existing one that we have. And that way we can kind of call them separately. If we want to call this one for testing, we could still call it kind of explicitly. And then for this, this will be the main one that we end up using eventually. So I'm going to go back over here. There's my file from FileSync that's shown up. I'm going to say this isn't an update. I don't want to actually do anything to the record. It's a custom action that doesn't save it or do any of this stuff. So we'll get rid of that. I don't really care about the on success. All I want to do is set up the Cloud Tasks client and make a call with it. So I'm just going to change this to use a bit more modern syntax here. Import there. And then we'll reference those environment variables that we set up with the private key and the email. And then, like in the tutorial, we can create a task. Create HTTP task. So this is all Riley's code. I don't know if y'all have met Riley in the Gadget ecosystem, but he's the dev advocate at Gadget and has kind of bravely gone and done all of this stuff that no one else has done before. So I'm just going to copy his smarts here. And it looks like it's referencing those variables that we got. Which queue, which location, which URL. Oh, right. I think we can actually get rid of that one and say this is going to be instead config dot. Where's that? Sorry, Gadget exports this object called config from Gadget server. If I go to definition on this, it has handy stuff like the current app's URL. So instead of duplicating that information into that target service URL environment, we can just do config.app URL here. In Riley's tutorial, he's using a different request bin, it's about sending it somewhere else. So that's why his was different. Environment variables, I'm just going to delete that so it doesn't confuse anyone. And Okay, so we've got project Q location. I'm just going to make this a bit clearer. Q location. I don't really want to delay the request like he was. And I also HTTP request body. Huh. Okay. I think all I really want to do is like save a ID. Like the thing that the queue needs to pass back to us is like, which record do you want to sync? So I'm just going to get rid of this helper function so that we can kind of stay in context where we have this record and this logger object handy. And what I'm going to say is the task body is the json.stringify. We'll say record.id. And Riley's already got it set up there to send the content type application JSON. So it's like when it comes back to Gadget, when Google Cloud makes a request back to Gadget to this URL, it'll send a content type header of application JSON in this body. So we can delete that as well. Request parent. Oh, right, that's the queue path. And the task is task. Gonna debug. We're gonna send that with the client. We instantiate it up here. And then log that we created it. Nice. Okay, and then the one other thing that I think we should do is I'll show you what the endpoint that this will hit is. So I'm currently saying URL config app URL. I don't want to send the task right to my application's root URL. I think I want to send it to a specific route like this. Like we'll say tasks sync post to Shopify. So this will expect a route to exist in my Gadget app called /tasks sync post to Shopify. So I'm gonna, just because this will auto-generate me the skeleton, I'm gonna add a folder here called tasks and add a new file called post sync post to Shopify. And I get this handy dandy kind of route template here, and all I'm gonna do, actually, maybe I'll do it in file sync here. My routes, tasks, sync post to Shopify is logger.info. Okay, so what this is the actual endpoint that we expect our task to invoke when Google calls us back to say, okay, it's time to run this task in particular. And I'm not going to make it do anything yet. I'm just going to log out the body to make sure we're getting that record ID and then reply to Google and say, okay, the task was executed. We're good. So let me test out in queuing a sync. I expect I got something wrong in that leaning tower of complexity. So we're just going to have to try it and see what happens. So what's an Instagram post ID? 158. So we're going to run the in-queue action, which should make a call to Google to then, request message serialization failure, invalid encoding. Huh? So the stack trace is within the Cloud Task clients here, right? We're saying we've made our API call. And this is saying request message invalid encoding. I have no idea what that means. You are base 64 encoding your JSON. Wow. What? You have to Okay. I think I saw that in Riley's tutorial, and I was like, what the heck is this for? This seems totally unimportant. I was wrong. So the way I interpret that GitHub issue is to say, Google Cloud, when you pass the body, you don't just pass a body, you pass a base64 encoded version of the body. That's strange. Hey, Mo, did you want to say something?
Nope. I am
okay.
just working away on a landing page.
What? Oh, okay. I think you just unmuted, and so I can hear you typing.
Sorry about that.
No, it's quite all right. I just figured that was an accident. Yeah. Okay, so that is nuts. And also, just to toot our own horn, this is exactly why we wanted to build our internal background task processing system, right? Like, holy crap, that's ridiculous. How are you supposed to know that you need to do that without finding this GitHub issue? So there's that. Let us try the enqueue once more. Getting metadata from plugin failed with error. What? That's such nonsense. Oh my god. Decoder routines unsupported. It's still within the Google Cloud Tasks client. Once more, let us Google. You know it's bad when that's purple, you know? Rough. It would appear that it's complaining, or if this is to be believed, what this is complaining about is that the private key variable that we're passing to the client here, Google service account private key, is encoded wrong, like where something's wrong with the formatting of exactly this string. And it looks like the code that we stole from Riley in this tutorial was doing exactly the same thing from the Stack Overflow message, which is to say it's like splitting it and joining it again. But my guess is when I pasted in the value, something went weird. So I'm just going to try to remove that bit for a second and see if that makes a difference. Yeah, still broken. And I'm going to be naughty here and just log out the value so that we can see what it is at runtime, and then I'll just rotate it after the stream. So y'all are going to have a 3-hour window to enqueue tasks as me because I'm being naughty. So I'm just going to do console.log this value here. Oops. To see what it actually looks like. And then maybe I'll also log the modified one to see if we can just like spot any issues that are wrong with it. Also, if anyone in the chat has any ideas about what the heck I'm doing wrong, I am all ears. Maybe I'll do a logger.info here also, just for good hygiene. Okay. Let's run it once more. Oh god. Okay. Modified. Looks like. Oh god. This is gonna be too hard. I'm gonna I'm struggling to figure out which, like, are the new lines that this logger is showing my fault or the logger's fault. But if you look, like, so the private key that hasn't been changed, it's a string of JSON, and it's got these, like, embedded new line characters in it. And then the modified one, it seems to have, like, actual new lines in it, but both still seem busted, right? Both are still throwing this, like, routines unsupported error. Do not store service account into. I agree. Informative, but not helpful. But I think this whole thing about the base64, they're onto something. That seems a lot easier than like managing new lines carefully. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to PB copy, and I'm going to do base64. Yeah, nice. So what I've done is I've taken the service key that I've downloaded, base64 encoded it, and then copied it to my clipboard. And then I'm going to go into the settings. Yeah, Mike, this is my life. It's just figuring out the right encodings for things. I'm sure you feel the same way. Into my environment variables, service account private key. Oops, no, that's not what I wanted. PB copy. Copy that once more. Paste in. So there's like a base64 encoded value. Great. That looks good. And then in our code, instead of this whole new line management system, I'm just going to base64 decode the environment variable value. I forget exactly what the incantation for that is. Again, you can tell it's annoying because it's purple. Nice. Buffer dot from base64 to string ASCII. Let us pray, everyone. Let us pray. Okay. Remains unsupported. Is it supposed to be, do you think, just this private key value? Instead of the whole object? I think it might be. I think it might be. Yeah, that's the private key. So base64 in that. PB copy that. Excellent. Go back to our environment variables, paste in just that value. And then let's see how that goes. God damn it. Maybe I'll try it without my base64 hacks and go back to the way Riley was doing it, because I'm sure he tested that tutorial. Maybe there's not supposed to be quotes. That would also make sense. I probably messed that up the first time as well. Where are we here? Okay. I'm just going to break it out so I don't have to keep updating both spots when I log it. Haha! I win. No quotes. Everyone at the Gadget office makes fun of me because they hear that haha every so often, like around the office. And I think maybe sometimes I take these things a little too personally, you know. Okay, that's great. So we're going to stop logging that incredibly important secret. I'm just going to, before I forget, go back to my service account here. Where is it? And rotate that key so that it's not forever recorded on the internet. Naughty, naughty Harry. And we'll add a new one. Save that. I guess 06 was the last one I was using, so now it's 69. And in the environment variables, I'm going to paste that in. You couldn't see any of the important stuff, so I'll just encrypt that. Let's make sure this is still working. It is. Excellent. And then if I refresh this, do we see, so we see one task completed in the last minute. That's good. I'm going to turn on logging for a moment in the queue just so we can see that stuff's actually happening. And there's our gadget saying it enqueued the task. And then in Google, let's see if it shows us a task. Somebody's logger is kind of slow. Task creation log. Oh, got a double slash in there. I'll fix that. I always forget if that app URL value has a slash on it or not. Let's enqueue another one. There we go. We see our thing created. And I think also we should see, aha, look at that. The request body, tasks, sync post to Shopify. So just to review real quick. I have an action on my post called enqueue Shopify sync. I'll show you that in the same place we were looking at it. We set up this cloud task client. We tell the cloud task to do a very roundabout thing, which is to make a call back to us to do some work. And then what we get for doing all this hoopla is resiliency. It's going to call us as many times as it takes for that action to succeed. And we can make that 100 times, and that can take 3 days, but ideally, after 100 attempts over 3 days, the Shopify rate limit will allow us through. So let's actually implement that route and say we're going to actually do the sync of the post to Shopify in here. So we'll say, if we look in our logs here, the request body was record 158. So we get the ID of the record we need to fetch there. Say const record equals await API Instagram post. Maybe find one. We'll say request body.id. The reason I'm going to use maybe find one to find the post you need to sync is because it may have been deleted since the task was enqueued. That's the thing that often happens when you have these like really long retry schedules is the data on the ground changes. So I'm just going to log if that happens. So if we do find it, then I'm going to ask it to run that action. Oh, look, and Copilot figured it out. So saying sync to Shopify. So we've got our two kind of A and B actions here. The enqueue, which via that route calls this one, the actual sync, which actually does the kind of calls to Shopify to do the thing. So now if I go over to Shopify and I delete a bunch of these guys, and I enqueue another one, if I refresh really fast here, it's probably not here. But if I wait a second, come on, something has gone wrong. ID is required, but it was not provided. I think that's in my, where's my route here? So one thing you can see, Google has actually retried this task Like I have a bug in my route code. You can see something's wrong where my ID isn't passing, but you can see this is getting called kind of over and over, and that's what we want, right? We want there to be kind of this resiliency built in that when there's an error, Google's going to attempt to do it more and more. In this case, the error is my fault, so my bad, egg on my face. But if it was Shopify's fault where we're exceeding the rate limit, that's super valuable. But in my tasks route here, record.id. Oh, I just screwed up. Oh, no, did I? What? Request.body.id. Request.record. Oh, record.id. So remember I was logging it out here. The body is an object with the record key pointing to the ID. Previously I had it just at ID, but we want this record.id. Oops. So maybe I can show you over here in our tasks thing. There's this one. It's retried 10 times already. I'm going to force it to run. Oops, I'm going to remove this from the logs. Still broken. Let me just log it out again for us. Finding record for task here with the ID in the body. I'll just kick off another task so we don't have to go do the thing. Finding record for task, record 158. What? Oh, I bet that. So I'm wondering if this, like here I'm doing dot access on this body object, thinking that it's an object, but I'm wondering if it's actually a string. And it's like this, it needs to be JSON deserialized once more. Were we lucky here? Yeah, body type undefined. What? Oh. Request.body. There we go. Queued another task. Finding record for task, body type object. What the heck? Request.body.record.id, and it's like the ID. It is an object. I'm very confused. So here in this log, request.body is an object. The type of it is object. So doing .record.id. Oh my God, it's just .record. Oh God, my life. There we go. I always find that like with TypeScript support or whatever, it's really easy within your own code, but as soon as there's like an RPC involved or like something where you're kind of sending data out and getting it back in, it's so easy to mess it up. I've never tried tRPC, but I feel like that's what it's supposed to help with. Anyways, there we go. Look, no errors. I did it, Mom. The ID's coming in. It's syncing the objects, and if I go into Shopify, we see our post synced. Nice. So I'm just going to run the account sync one again to sync all the posts. And what that's going to do is create a bunch of tasks here. Going to create a bunch. Oh, no, it's not because I lied. In my account, I'm syncing posts. We're creating posts. And then in the post create, we're saying sync to Shopify. I need to change this to in queue Shopify sync. instead of doing it right there in line and potentially failing and potentially losing that kind of update forever, we want to enqueue it to Google. So I just create an update here. I've changed that. I'm going to go into Shopify and delete all of these just to make sure that it's going to work when I ingest all the posts. And now if I look here, we should get a bunch of tasks. Yeah, there we go. Nice. And if I look at the metrics, we should see, look at that. Oh, we're seeing a bunch of failures. Are we? Completed, failed, least. What's with that? If I look at my live logs in Gadget, it looks like things are happening where it's updating. I don't see any errors streaming out. If I look over here, man, we're seeing them sink in. What the heck? Maybe that's, I guess maybe that's from 1:19 p.m. such that that was the failures from before, and this time range here is like fine. Look at the logs. I think that's working. Yeah, completed in the last 20. Yeah, okay, perfect, great. It's working. Hooray! Queuing. Okay. I think there's probably some like productionization to do still, which would be like set up an alert for the queue length being too long, or I don't know. It's always a bit sketchy to just like toss stuff into a queue and never pay attention to it ever again. But I think, at least for this app that we're planning to make free, that seems like good enough for me. So that's positive. Queue the rights to Shopify. Fix the schema name, that's done. Upserting we did, and I think I got the uniqueness index on the post, right? Yeah. Posts are unique by their Instagram ID field. Nice. Okay. The rate limiting and awareness for Instagram. So Gadget has Shopify rate limiting awareness built in, but it doesn't have Instagram rate limiting awareness built in. So we could add that. Mo, do you want me to keep going on some features here, or do you want to do some front end stuff? Oh, you're on mute there.
Let's go for a little bit longer, and I think I can take over in a bit.
Okay, great. Why don't we fix the Instagram auth account exchange thing? So that's to say that this access token for Instagram is an hour long, such that I bet you it's expired now. Instagram basic auth, basic display API. Short-lived or long-lived? Short-lived access tokens are valid for 1 hour. Yeah, so let me just test that. Like, I would have thought that this would have stopped working. So if I go here and I try to say ingest posts again, is it going to break with an access denied error? ID number 7. Maybe it's only kind of an hour? Yeah, like look, it sucked them all in. Well, I believe their docs that it is short-lived. And I definitely didn't do the work to do the thing to get the long-lived access token. Then I guess we need a scheduler to refresh them as well. So if you get a short-lived access token, it's valid for an hour. If you get a long-lived access token, it's valid for 60 days, and you need to manually refresh it if you're gonna. That's pretty annoying, but let's do that. where's the Exchange docs? Must be made server side. Okay. That seems pretty easy. And also, God, all of this is so annoying. Why isn't there just OAuth built into everything? So my Instagram auth works using this library called Fastify Passport. And Fastify Passport calls me back with an access token here. And I think this refresh token is a lie. I think that's null. So I'm going to maybe what I'm going to do is exchange the short-lived one for a long-lived one as soon as the user are auth, so that we only ever drop a long-lived token instead of a short-lived token in, and then just make a refresh action on Instagram account that we can kind of call on a schedule. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to do const short-lived token equals the thing we were using previously. And I'm going to define us a little function here. To do that. So they want us to do a GET request with the app secret and the token. That seems easy enough. We're going to do a fetch because we're modern like that. And anyone who was watching the stream last weekend knows I have beef with GOT. You know that your library is user hostile when the very first thing is a warning that most people can't use it. This grinds my gears. Look at this. I'm using my platform for badness, Mo. I'm being evil. If I go to the npm package page for GOT, the most popular HTTP client for Node.js, and I go look at the versions and the downloads, there's the new one that has 300K downloads, and the old one that everyone can still use in a common JS context has 10 times more downloads. By switching to the new thing, he abandoned 10 times more users. And that's been out for a year, and no one's adopted, or like 1 in 10 people's adopted it. That's baloney. Please help me. I know CommonJS isn't as good in some ways, but oh my god. Anyways, sorry, I get distracted. We need to fetch, which just works. Oh, and I'm not in TypeScript. And we need to pass our app secret and the access token itself. We'll do a code URI component here. Short. Actually, you know what? Let's be fancy. We can do a new URL. Oops. And then URL dot search params. Thank you, Copilot. Client secret. I think that's an environment variable we can just use. Then the last one is the access token. Heck yes. We will fetch our URL. Is there a way to say, like, to fetch, like, actually, I guess I can just do status does not equal 200. all I'm trying to do here is just make it, if I get this encoding wrong or something like that, I don't want to just assume that the fetch worked. So also maybe I'll do a logger.warn here, response. Maybe I'll put the URL as well. And if we did get a response, what does it look like? Oh, did I close my tab there? Where did it go? It's JSON, okay. And we want the access token key. So JSON equals await response.json. This is always the thing I find weird about fetch is you kind of have to double await like that. It's kind of weird. And we want the JSON. Maybe I'll just also check for that. Actually, you know what? I trust their API to work properly. Famous last words. There's our long-lived token, and we're going to stash it in. Oh, you know what? I'm actually just going to return the whole thing. Or how about token and expires at. And we'll do number of seconds until the token expires. So I guess I need to divide this by 1,000. Like when you add to dates. Oh my god. Add seconds to date. So terrible. Oh no, I guess I have to times it by 1,000. Yeah. All I'm trying to do is just like return a date for myself so that later in my scheduled action, I'm able to say like, you're going to expire soon. You're not, so on and so forth. So new date is, I want new date get time plus the expires in times 1,000. Then what I can do is say token expires at, I'm going to return here, say token expires in might be an E. You're right. Might be E. Like from empty. Oh, I see. Yeah. That's a good question. Maybe I'll just for now log out the JSON. Also, I need to import that logger object. There's our logger. Okay, great. And what I want to do is save that expiry on the account record so I can later find by that. So I need to add a new field. So I'm just going to hop back into Gadget, go to the Instagram account, add a new field called, here we'll make it nice and say access token expires at, we'll say it's a date. And I don't think I'll make it required because we're not always going to, well, I guess, so if this was a real production application where I had a bunch of users already, I couldn't make it required, right? Because a bunch of users haven't given it to me already. But because it's a new application, and I'm assuming that their API docs are right and that LS is reporting fake news, then this should work. But if it isn't given to us, sometimes I can't make it required. You're right about that. Access token expires at. Okay. Let me delete all the posts, delete my account, go back to the app for a moment to trigger the OAuth flow, And it's going to ask me to OAuth again because my account's gone. And I'm hoping I didn't mess anything up too bad, and we should see the callback fire and redirect us. Okay, that's a good sign that it redirected us. Looking at the logs for a moment. Stop. What does that say? Handle has already been taken. Huh? Oh, I didn't delete the posts in Shopify, so that's all going to complain, but that's okay. Instant response. Access token expires in. There it is. Look at that. If I go look at the data here, it is account. Oh, actually, I should fix that. Access token expires at Jan 3rd. Cool. Okay. Nice. While I'm in here, I'm just going to do a function to get the account name so that we have that for how do I do that? Get profiles and media. Me. Okay. /me. The fields are. Yeah, I don't know if anyone noticed that. Sorry, let me be explicit. I had it hard coded to set the account name on every account to whatever. I just want to actually fetch that. So Instagram has a API endpoint called /me where I can ask for the ID, the username, whatever, and all I have to do is pass my access token there. So I'm going to say fields is ID, username, join those, access or append my access token. Maybe I'll refactor this into a nice Instagram helper. Again, with my right-click refactor, extract to function in module scope, Instagram API call. And maybe I'll make it do the token thing, short-lived token. And then what I can do here is just do, oops. URL access token, very good. And I'm going to return JSON username. So my get long lived token makes the call with this URL and these params. My get account name makes the call to /me with the fields and the tokens added in there. And then I'm wiring that up to my call to store the data on request.instagram.create. Let us try that once more. I'm going to delete my account, delete the sync posts, maybe for good measure, delete them here, and then kick off the OAuth once more. Let's see if it gets my username. Then Mo, I think we should actually show the connected username on the homepage so you're kind of aware that it's like connected to, oh, access token is not defined. Do you know what I mean? Like who am I syncing posts from is kind of reasonable. 77.
If you could send me a screenshot of your admin UI once you have a chance, that'd be good too. I can put it on the Lander.
We got to do our design task.
Oh, right. Unordered list. Right.
Does that just work if I hit the back button? I guess it does. Nice. There's my live thing streaming in. Very good. And if I look in the Gadget Instagram account data, there I am. My silly error. My silly name. My name's actually Harrison, like Harrison, and air horns is an anagram. Or if you put the A there and the I and the R there. That's me.
Harry, what do you think about changing the admin UI to just fetch the last synced post and just display one as opposed to like an unordered list? Because it doesn't really make a ton of sense to show them all of the posts here, right?
I think you're right. I think it's kind of a bunch of content that's not super helpful.
Yeah.
Sure. Maybe maybe it should be the images too, not the text.
Right. Like if we had time, we could do a nice card with like header, body, image, whatnot. But I think if we just show the image, last synced post, timestamp, image, that's good enough.
Okay, let's do that.
You know what? Actually,
shop page.
We could also take over, you know, where we have the check mark right now. After the OAuth, we show you the check mark. We could just like take over that and show you the last synced post instead of the check mark, and underneath that have the copy.
I like the check mark though. It makes me feel like I've done something today, you know?
Okay.
Let me move this into a card.
I'm in the same file, by the way. I'm changing the copy, just FYI. We're
Okay.
gonna see some creepy stuff.
Do you want to incorporate the account name into the copy somehow?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you're currently connected to this account or whatever?
Yeah, hold on. I'll change. Let me change the sentence. I'll leave room for that. Give me 1 sec.
Okay.
Syncs post from.
I'm going to go do something else so that we don't step on each other's toes. Break shit.
And this is on a daily schedule, right, Harry?
No, or I didn't set that up yet. Oh no, I did. It's hourly. Maybe that's something we can do real quick is refresh Instagram tokens. Which is, so Instagram, that long-lived token that we're getting now gives us 60 days, but I would like to refresh it, let's say every 30 days. Every month, day 1 at 11:30. How about that? And what this has to do is go make a call to each of the accounts to refresh the token just so it never expires and we're always able to continue syncing. So to do that, or I guess I'm going to add a action on account called refresh token. And then my global action is going to call refresh token each time, where I'll say this is a custom action again. I don't really care about, like, this is all internal, so I don't need to deal with permissions or whatnot. I guess I want my helpers here as well. I'm going to move this out to a new file. Let's call it Instagram. Yes. Save all the imports, and then I'm just going to move it out to kind of the root of the project just to make it easy to find. VS Code has updated my imports for me, which is nice. And then in refresh token, I can just do accounts new token equals await Instagram API call. Have to put something in there, and we'll call that URL with the records current access token to get a new one, and then do an await API. Or I guess we could actually just save it like this. We could do record.access token equals new token, wait, save, record. Nice. So the URL for that refresh we have to look up. refresh access token endpoint. Grant type IG refresh token. Okay. Being kind of naughty and duplicating the kind of Instagram host, but they're never going to change that. I don't really care. It's kind of nice and simple. Damn. Copilot knows it's an IG refresh token that we want. So that's going to return us JSON. And I guess we need to do new UR JSON access token. Token. And then also we have the silly date math thing again. I'm just going to copy paste this. Access token expires at. Oops, don't want a comma there. So we'll save it, get a new access token each time. That looks right to me. And then what I can do is call this for all the accounts that need to expire, or that need to. I'm just thinking. I guess can anyone? Well, we didn't build a disconnect button. Like I want to stop doing this
And reconnect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I can bang that out really quickly, but I guess we that's kind of necessary, right? It's like I want to stop doing this, or I changed my account, or like
But on reconnect, you'll probably want to like wipe the table and start over, because it might be like a completely different account, or are you gonna like remodel it so a Shopify store can have multiple Instagram accounts, where it's like a one-to-many?
That's how it's modeled in the database right now.
Oh, okay.
Where Shop has many accounts.
Okay.
But in the UI, we just find the first one.
Right.
We don't show you the connect button if you already have one, and I feel like that's fine.
I guess the other problem is like we're storing the images on our end and then everything else in the meta object. So we do actually probably need to like wipe both clean and refetch all the data so that it's actually the correct data in both, right?
Yeah, I guess
Because
so.
there's only one meta object. It's not like Shopify has two meta objects mapped to the two different Instagram accounts.
Like, conceivably, that would be kind of surprising if I clicked the disconnect button and my whole storefront widget like changed and went empty.
You could get real fancy and start doing like dynamic meta object naming for each Instagram account and have like two meta objects namespaced with like the account holder or something. Like my personal Instagram, my professional Instagram, two meta object namespaces.
I mean, maybe we should put the account as a field here.
Right. Yeah. That's not bad either. And then they can fetch whichever one they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But honestly, I was gonna say, I think we should, like, if they do disconnect, I would just leave these and like let them clean it up with this UI.
Yeah, no, but you can do that once you add the account. I think that makes a lot of sense. The only downside, I think the one thing that's gonna make this all kind of fall apart is like, what the heck is the limit on meta objects? Because it's one, we have a strategy for like one Instagram account to Shopify store, where if we hit the limit, we override the oldest data. But in this world where there's two Instagram accounts, you start hitting the limit, what's going to happen? Is it going to know to...
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't know what the limit is. I think there's a few people on Discord trying to figure it out as well.
Huh.
Yeah, I have Shannon's Instagram, which has a bit more activity. If we want to test it out, I can.
Nice.
I can install it if you send me an install link.
I have to add that account as a tester.
Okay.
And it won't give us write access.
Which is fine, right? Like write to Instagram.
Correct. So I feel like it's not too risky. What's the handle?
Shannon Carleen with a K. That's the first one.
Nice. Do you have an Instagram, Mo?
I do, but it has like 0 posts on it, so it would be a very weird test.
Yeah. Okay, I've sent it. You or Shannon has to accept it, like in the apps and websites section of their profile.
Hold on, let's see. Might have to log in from mobile.
I think maybe how I'm going to model this in the database is the lazy but effective way of just deleting any accounts that aren't active. Like if an account is active, it'll have a record, and if someone disconnects, it'll delete the record, and that way I don't have to add like an active column everywhere and check for activeness all the time. I think if we were getting more serious about this or wanted to like pause a sync, we would need, an active column instead of just a delete it, undelete it, but I think just deleting is fine. So then for my global action that refreshes all the tokens, I'm just going to refresh all the accounts because they're presumed active if they're still present. So this actually brings me to the bonus points that I wanted to get today, which is there's kind of an annoying missing feature in Gadget, which is if you want to get all the records, you have to paginate yourself. So we have this like snippet in our docs that we generate for everyone where we say like, here's how you do it. You select the first 250, you like do your own thing, but then you like iterate over it yourself. And I just kind of want to make a helper that would do that for you. So I think let's just get it working and then we can refactor it. How about that? I'm not going to use an all records thing. I'm just going to loop. And what I want to filter to say, so what I'm doing here is refreshing the Instagram tokens, and I want to filter to say people whose, actually, let me just keep it simple. I'll just refresh everyone's token every month. That seems pretty reasonable to me. It seems like a cheapish operation. So I'm going to do a import pmap.
Harry?
Yes.
Did you get that notification in app or by email when you tried it out?
You don't actually get a notification. You just have to like go into this profile section. Are you on mobile or?
I'm in mobile in the apps and website section. I just don't see any requests yet. So
on web at least, it's profile. It's like another tab. Tester invites.
Oh, I see. It's only on web. It's not on mobile. Okay, accepted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For a mobile app?
Very weird, yeah. They only show this on web.
That's silly. Okay, sweet. So you should be able to add a test store.
I think I need the one-time URL. I'm not sure which app or partner account you're using.
Good question. It's the Gadget partner account. And the app is called Instagram Post Sync Dev.
Okay.
But I guess we want to rename that, right?
Yeah, I'll create a separate one later, but I'll just try it on this dev one for now.
Insta Post Sync Dev. Here, I renamed it.
Okay.
Mo, I feel like we're gunning for the partners account with the most apps in all of Shopify history.
At some point, yeah. If we had time, we would just like pump these out in a week.
Well, I just mean like test apps.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There's been 20 of us creating like several apps a day for like 2 years now, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like our partner account has got to have a few thousand.
I want to be the problem for the people running the partners database.
Apparently, they sent out emails for like old deprecated apps that weren't doing anything and deleting them, but we didn't
Right.
get one. And I wonder if we didn't get one because the list would have just been too long.
Or like it
It's like
broke
some
trying
people
to
were
send it.
screenshotting them and sharing on Twitter of like, yeah, I got like 90 apps or whatnot, but we have probably over 1,000 or 2,000 at this point.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's wild.
Okay, so my refresh token, I'm actually just going to do a logger here. And we'll say refresh token for account, and then the global action here, refresh Instagram tokens, finds everybody and then dispatches that refresh token action. And I think monthly, at least for a long time, that should scale just fine. So let me test that refresh Instagram tokens. Get back a null. I don't think that did anything. Right, like I would have seen my log that I just added over here. So why didn't it refresh you? Did I just forget to save? Or did I find, no. I don't even see that log entry. I'll move it outside the while. Oh, ha! I think our code is broken. Or no, it's because I adapted it from the all records thing. So my issue is I'm finding the first page and I'm saying, while there's a next page, do this stuff. And the problem is if this page is the first and only page, this while condition returns false right off the bat. So it is time for my favorite JavaScript feature to come to play. Did you know you can do this? The do block says do this, and then it checks this after the block. I'm pretty sure this is what we want. Yeah, see, look, that took a while. Can't request next page because there isn't one. How about this? If has next page, we'll do this. Excellent. Refreshing tokens for accounts. That's what we want to see. Refresh the one token. Excellent. Okay, so just to review, this pattern of like iterating over stuff where you want to do stuff and then like check if there's another page to do stuff to, I really like do while. It's been a feature that's like been in JavaScript forever that like no one knows, but yeah, it's like actually quite well supported by TypeScript and all this kind of stuff. And it looks weird, but it matches my expectations for how loops are supposed to work a lot. So anyways, we map over, I guess I'll make this concurrent, or limit the concurrency so that the infrastructure people don't yell at me. Oh, 1 second. Nick of time. Great, token refreshing's done, I think. I think we're chilling. Back to the to-do list. Sync all posts action. Right. So one thing we did not do last weekend when we started doing this was fetch more than the first page of posts from Instagram. So in order to test out Mo's larger Instagram account, I think we should do that. Hey, Simon. Welcome. I hope you had a wonderful sleep and are well rested. Wait, is it Sunday or Saturday for you? I am not nearly good enough at geography to be able to guess even. Regarding the whole write limits on Shopify, is there a plan to abstract and deal with this for the devs too, like with reading? Halvesies, Joda. It's a good question. So we feel like we can't fully abstract writes for you because you often need to know if it worked or not, or you like need the ID of the result. You know what I mean? It's like if you're like adding an order or adding a product or something, like you often want to like reference it, so you like need the ID that Shopify assigns to that, which means we can't just like queue it up and like let it happen later because we can't even guarantee it's going to work, or like if you gave us invalid data, it might just fail. So instead of being like, okay, we'll transparently handle the rights and it'll just magically work, we're going to help you, or we're going to give tools for helping with the management of the rate limit, like background jobs. So we're adding kind of a background job. If you noticed, setting up the background task, or if you were around, setting up the background task queue to work with Google Cloud Tasks, the entire job was just setting up the goddamn Google Cloud Tasks system, you know? That was far harder than writing the code. So we're going to set up a built-in background task system that allows you to just like super duper easily dispatch an action to run in the background with retries and everything. But within that action, those writes will still be kind of like live or, consistent writes. I think in the future, there's like Mo and I have talked a bit about a thing we call remote writes, which is in the same way that Gadget supports kind of caching red data to make your stuff available for whatever rate limit you want. You can write through that model and read write to Shopify. I'm not confident it would actually be better. Like, I'm not confident that it would be nice to write to Gadget and then have Gadget like not be able to tell you if your handle was unique or something like that and fail, and you have to like go fetch the errors out of band later. But I mean, it's not something that or it's a pain that literally every single person feels. So I think we're like invested in doing whatever we can to help. Just not, we don't want to be unhelpful, if that makes sense. Instagram pagination is, I think, what I was going to do. Basic API pagination.
Harry.
7 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Simon, you're stronger than me to be up that early to watch me on YouTube. Yes, Mo.
Do you know if Shopify changed how app distribution works? I don't think you can generate one-time links anymore. I can only submit to the App Store listed or unlisted from the partner dashboard from what I can see. Whereas before I could generate those like one-time links and just send it to myself. And if anyone in the live stream knows how to send a one-time link like you used to be able to, that would be great.
I think maybe you have to build it yourself.
What do you mean? Like, what do you mean?
Like there's like a way to craft that install link.
Really?
Yeah.
Why
I
would they
forget
do
exactly
that?
what it is.
Why would they do that to us? All right, well, I'll see if I can figure that out. You keep going.
Okay. Paging. Cursors before, after, next. Fields, access token, next endpoint. Like with the ID that you need to get the minute objects you manage. Yeah. You're right, Joda. That for the fire and forget stuff, it would be quite convenient, especially if it's like I don't really care how when exactly it happens. It just has to happen eventually. And I think our take on that is like, okay, a background job wrapping around an action would make it really easy, but that remains to be seen. Like, we'll show you the kind of API when we have it kind of a little bit more inked, and like I'm kind of curious what you think. If it's like, oh, this is like super convenient, or it's like that still feels like too much hoopla to actually set up the remote write. The URL returned as next is fully formed with everything needed. Wow, their next URL includes the access token, if this person is to be believed. That's pretty intense. But okay, let's do it. It's happening again. The do while, that is. Okay, so I'm going to say in my syncing posts function here, I'm going to build that URL. I'm going to say it's going to be the first next page URL. Then I'm going to fetch. I'm going to do my ingestion. I'm going to say next page equals page dot paging dot next. Page dot data came back, and I think page dot paging is supposed to have my thing. So let's see how that goes, and then I think you could say limit. So maybe I'll just set the limit to 3 for a test. Search params, set limit 5. Sync posts. Instagram account, ingest posts. It runs this sync post action. So I've got my ID 9 here. Oops, I don't want to create. I want to ingest posts for ID 9. And what I'm looking for is just to make sure that that pagination code I added is actually going to loop over stuff properly. Looks like it's working. Maybe I will do it again, having cleared the data, just to prove that it's not doing the same post over and over or something like that. And it also seems like it's going on for a while. Perhaps I have started infinite looping over Instagram. Or maybe it's actually taking longer because now it's paginating and it's like doing all the posts like from my account, right? Like it's going a bit longer. Let's see, 242 is the most up-to-date one. No, I think this is an infinite loop. Oops. Well, that's okay. It'll time out eventually. What did I do wrong? Maybe he's just slow? No. How did I do that? Sorry. So I'm just going to do restart app here, which should interrupt my infinite loop after a minute or two. I think. Come on, Harry. Oh yeah, and then we're going to get a few Google Cloud tasks bleeding in. But yeah, actually, maybe we can look at the tasks and just prove that it was actually getting the same ones over and over. Maybe I'll just go log it. Where's it? Logger.info page, got Instagram page. I'm just going to comment the actual sync bit for a second so we can see exactly what's going on. Why are you still doing tasks? Kick that off again. Got Instagram page. Let me pause this. Yeah, so see each of these got Instagram pages here is saying kind of the same data. But what I don't quite get is paging.next. Like I'm setting it, right? It's happening to the next piece. So I don't, it does paging.next like maybe lie and yeah, where's the next URL it's handing back to me says fields, blah blah blah, limit, access token. And then it's just the access. Oh no, after. There's the after. Oh, I'm just a fool. I'm fetching the hard-coded URL at the start instead of fetching the actual page that I'm on. That makes sense. Oops. Okay, so uncommenting that. Just gonna delete some of these imports. I think that now I have 2 infinite loops going, but I think Gadget as a platform will time those out in the background, so I feel okay to kick off another loop here. Undefined is not iterable. Fetch next page. Instagram page error. You are hitting rate limits. Aha! Very good. This is a good excuse to fix that problem. So I think what I'm going to do is switch to using that Instagram helper that I wrote for this call as well. What is it? Instagram API call. Next page. And record.access token. And then we'll build kind of rate limit handling into this thing. And then I also just need to delete that because it's going to do it for me. I'm also going to delete that because it's fine and it's going to do it on its own. And I got to do page.next. New URL to allow the helper to manipulate the URL because this thing takes in the helper. And if we go to definition on this guy, we can do a p retry. Let's see if I have added that to my package JSON here. Nope, not yet. So p retry is a super awesome package. I use it all the time for stuff inside Gadget and in Gadget apps. What it is just a function that kind of takes a async function that returns something and lets you say, I want to retry it with exponential backoff and just give it an attempt. And it's just like super duper easy to use. It is, again, one of these ESM only functions that is super annoying, such that you need to use not the latest version that are ESM only, but go back and find the one that everyone likes, that everyone is using, which is this one. So if I go to my Gadget app, I do a yarn add p retry at this version. In my editor here, I can import that and retry it. So I can do turn p retry. Whoops. I think I'm just gonna do this. Why are you yelling at me? Const response. Oh, I just missed an arrow there. Hey Mo, do you mind muting just for the keyboard noise? Yep, thank you. And we'll say retries 5 here maybe? Or how about 6? That seems like a nice round number. I gotta import it. Nice. And then I think I need to add some error handling for like specifically that error code that we saw where it said we had exceeded the rate limits. Where did... I'm just going to search the logs here for rate limit errors. Oops. what I'm trying to find is like, how do I inspect a response from Instagram to make sure that I know that it's either a succeeded post or a succeeded request that returned the data that I'm kind of expecting, or if it returns an error. Maybe we can find an example on the internet.
Harry,
Yes.
what store did you install the app on so far?
Data diversity test,
Okay.
which is my favorite test store.
Does it have a diverse set of data?
Kinda. Like, I've just tried to set up like 8 different fulfillment methods and a gazillion different orders in different states and products like digital and gift card and all that kind of stuff, you know, to like test the sync.
I was just trying to be funny.
Oh, sorry. What does the response look like? Someone tell me. Wah. Well, I'm gonna gamble and just say it's not a 200. You know. So my code here is already checking. It's like expecting it not to be a 200, and otherwise we just retry. So I think that'll be good enough for me, to be completely honest. And so if I go back to the sync posts here, we're now correctly passing the next page, so it should paginate. We're correctly passing in the pagination token, and we're doing our PMAP for concurrency to ingest the post as fast as we can. And down here, we're passing that new URL. So let's try that once more and just see what happens. What we should see is unexpected response from Instagram. It's not very helpful, is it? Oh, I know what's going on there. I think that the my logger here, it's logging a response object, which is like the native response object returned by fetch, which doesn't have the body yet. So what I'm going to do is do status response.status, and body will do response dot body. Text. How about that? Yeah. Try once more. Ha. There we go. Body error. Application request limit reached. You are hitting the rate limits. Please wait again and try later. So that's kind of what I would expect, right? Instagram doesn't want us to absolutely hammer them. And I think what we need to do is just maybe tell p-retry like how much to back off, right? Does Facebook give us a retry after? Doesn't really say. Retry after. Yeah. Okay. So often, like at least with Shopify, they send back a header that says like you need to wait at least this long before you are allowed to make another request. And I think that like by default, so p-retry under the hood uses this other module called retry, and retry I thought had like kind of exponential back off built in. Default is 10, exponential factor default is 2, min timeout is 1,000, max timeout. Right. So maybe I'll just say min timeout is 1,000 to be explicit. And factor, we'll say is 3. I'm just kind of pulling those numbers out of my butt, like thinking that we need to kind of hit Instagram even less hard because it's spewing these errors. Although if I look here, it said that happened at 32:40, 8 seconds later, 18:56, 16 seconds later, and then this is like quite a bit later. So it's definitely backing off. Is my concurrency thing making another call? No, it's not. It's just making the one. And then ingesting into Gadget. Oh, but that ingestion into Gadget also makes calls that, I think, to fetch the image. I remember LS helped me with that last weekend, where when we sync a post, we do... wait, when we create, maybe? No. Where do we get the media ID, like the actual image? Oh no, it comes right there. So what is our actual rate limit? 200 calls per user per hour. Oh no. I think my infinite loop exhausted that completely. Like, I think I might be banned for an hour. Oops. God. That is also a pretty incredibly restrictive rate limit. Like, that's 3 calls a minute. Oh, no. Damn. Do you have any documentation on the rate limits? Rate limits. Subject graph APIs platform rate limiting. Mo, we need to add more users.
So what?
We get more rate limit if we add more users.
Add more users to what?
Like more Instagram auths. Basically.
Oh. The bigger your app, that's neat, I guess.
Yeah. I'm fucked. We will unblock your rate limit in 44 minutes. Okay.
That sucks.
Whoops. That's funny.
Also, like, how would you write code to predict your progressively increasing meta rate limit so that you don't have to revisit the code? What a weird concept.
Yeah.
That, I think the rate limit loosens up over time.
I feel it's the same with Shopify, which is basically you just push it as hard as you can until you start getting rate limit errors, because you don't really know what else is going on, or like if other calls and other bits in your application are making calls. But the problem with this is that if you get your first rate limit exceeded error and you have to wait for an hour, like that's a big issue, right? Like Shopify is a very fine-grained bucket.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Okay, so we could do a couple of things. One, I can talk through the landing page and the App Store listing a bit, and then we can call it there. Or if people really, really want, we can come back and wrap it all up later. I think we should maybe just go through the landing page really quickly, 10 minutes, and then the App Store listing, I can just show you guys what I submitted. It's not rocket science. I filled out a form. The landing page, we will make a template, so I kind of want to show you folks a little bit of that. And I think from there on, we'll let the audience decide if we come back and test this and finish it, or if we submit it to the App Store and everyone trusts us that this app works end to end now. All right, I am going to take over the screen share, Harry, if you don't mind. I think you have to stop
Yep,
yours.
go for it.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Sorry. It's been a while since I've streamed here.
It sounds like Simon has experienced the same joys of other platforms rate limiting. Maybe I always thought that Shopify would be the worst in the world, but this is like a strong contender for
Much worse.
nastier. Yeah.
Okay.
Serves me right for writing the infinite loop.
Okay. I think everyone can see my screen. Harry, can you let me know if the stream sees my screen? Okay, cool.
Looks good.
So this page here that you see here is a little one-page Shopify app landing page template that Mike and I prepared that we're going to expose to everybody in the Gadget community and add to our templates page so you can fork it and use it. Keep in mind, Gadget does not have server-side rendering, so I would not use Gadget personally for my landing page if I really relied on that landing page for sales and distribution, meaning like my primary channel for selling to a customer or finding a customer was like Google search and then land on my landing page and discover my app. In this case, that's not going to be the case. The surface that the app is going to be discovered is the Shopify App Store if we decide to list it publicly. And if we decide to list it privately, then it'll either be gadget.dev/templates, where I'll let the community know that there's a free template they can all install. So my goal is not to distribute the Shopify app through the App Store, and so I don't really, through my website, and so I don't really care if my website doesn't have server-side rendering, and I will opt to use Gadget for this. You should not use Gadget for hosting your landing page if you need server-side rendering. So what does the template look like? And I'll show you guys a little bit of the code in a moment. It's really not that complicated. Little header, a few sections to the page. It's a one-page website. You'll see as you click these things, you'll kind of go to a different section. There's a hero with a video embed, and you can switch this to an image embed if you want. So you put your kind of primary messaging here. All of these are components where you can change the styling, the colors, the CSS. It's all built with Tailwind, and you'll see all of that in code in a moment. You talk about the primary features of your application, maybe a couple of images, case studies or quotes if you have them. Maybe you link to other pages and have a full page case study once you have those. Pricing section. In this case, I'm going to wipe this out because I'm going to make the app free. And some sort of call to action and a footer with links to additional material. So this is what the template looks like. In Gadget, looks like this. If you go to the front end folder, you'll see a bunch of the components we were talking about. So button, call to action, case study, feature, footer, hero, nav, and pricing. Again, all of this is built using Tailwind. And the page you see is essentially just kind of fetching all those various sections. So the hero first, then the features, then the case studies, then the pricing, call to action, and footer. So you can fork this template. The way you folks will fork this template once it's live is you'll go to gadget.dev/templates and you'll just kind of fetch it and fork it. In my case, the way I forked it is I forked it as if it was my own application because it was. I went to settings, I hit fork app, I renamed it, and what I did was I got this variation. So I renamed it and I got my own variation of that same template, and I called it Instapost Lander, and I started to customize it. So I'm just going to close these other tabs and show you how I customize mine. I just changed the CSS a little bit and added some copy.
Oh, Mo, sorry to interrupt you. I think you're sharing only one tab as opposed to the whole window.
Is it showing Instapost Lander code right now?
Yeah.
Okay, let me fix that real quick. Thank you for that.
No problem. Simon mentioned it in the chat.
That's one thing I wish this tool did better. It's like simultaneously show us the chat. So you don't have to be two people at once.
And also background music. So you don't have to listen to me like sniffling half the time.
I bet you there's a feature for that. We just have
Yeah.
to figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you see me switching tabs right now?
It's just loading in. Yep. Yep. You're good.
Okay, sweet. So I was showing the code of the forked version of that template and then what it looks like so far. So I added a little logo for Instapost Sync. We had our designer kind of do this for us real quick. I removed almost all of the sections because I don't have case studies, I don't have pricing, I don't have testimonials. So I just kept the hero and the features section. I changed the copy a little bit. I haven't put in videos or screenshots yet. I was waiting for Harry to finish up so I can take them. And then I have a little call to action that will eventually link to the App Store once the App Store listing is live. So all I really did was kind of play around with the components, right? Like in the button component, I played around with the color, changed the color. I got the green on the website. I went to the features component, added in some of my copy, and then really just on app.jsx, I kind of removed all of the sections that I wasn't using for my app. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to probably load up a couple of screenshots into the assets folder here, which is where I put my logo as well to kind of fetch it in to the page. I'll load a couple more screenshots. I will probably try to shoot a video if I can once this issue with Instagram is resolved and we can test again. And I'll upload that video as well. And this will effectively act as my one-page kind of landing page for my app that I'll be submitting with the App Store listing. Now, if you look at the URL, you'll see, instapostlander --development.gadget.app. And if I push this to production, it's still going to be instapostlander.gadget.app. We do have the ability to swap out URLs with a custom domain. It's a bit manual on our end, so we ask customers to contact us and we do it for them. So I will be buying, I found a domain that I'll just buy for $10 and I'll kind of swap that in and eventually post that to Shopify once it's ready. So I won't be using this URL. The other thing that I realized as I was doing this, and I believe there is a way to kind of solve for this, but at the moment, the Shopify app template that we provide, shop page JSX, is kind of designed to be loaded in an embedded context, meaning as an admin UI inside a Shopify. And if you try to load that in a non-embedded context, by default, it breaks. I do recall there is a way to fix that, so you can actually have like routes that are not being rendered inside the Shopify admin UI, and maybe are displaying, some copy like this, an unauthenticated page that anyone can visit, while also having the shop page JSX authenticated admin UI for the merchant to use. I wasn't able to figure it out today, but I will do so afterwards, and I'll publish a little article on how to do that in case folks want to keep everything in one place. But what I opted for was the lazy path, which is I just created a separate Gadget project and called it Instapost Lander. And I'm going to use it for nothing other than creating this one little landing page, and I'll submit the URL from this app to Shopify as kind of my homepage, while using the URL for the actual application that Harry's been showing you for the app itself. So so all I did was I played around with some copy and some of the styling and the components and nothing else. And with respect to the Shopify App Store listing, most of that is done as well. If we go to the Gadget partner dashboard and try to navigate through the 10 million Gadget apps that exist, we will find Instapost Sync. And I prepared everything to be submitted. I filled out all of the paperwork and of all the forms and questionnaires, and then at the 11th hour, I realized that I did all of that on Instapost Sync-dev.
No.
And we typically recommend creating two apps in your partner dashboard, one called Dev, one called Production, and keeping them separate. So this was actually supposed to be my production application that I was going to submit to Shopify. The reason we recommend keeping them separate is Gadget's environments and Gadget's database will keep all of the data for any of the store installs separate as well. So this is our test store that has the dev app installed, and we're going to have customer production stores install the production app. So what I'll be doing after this call is copy pasting the entire form that I filled up over here and putting it over here and submitting it to Shopify. So our landing page is missing a couple of assets. I'll load those in. Same thing with the App Store listing. And then as soon as we are no longer banned by Instagram, we'll test the app again and we'll finally submit it and share all the code with you folks. I think I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. I don't really think there's much else to go through because it's all simple components. Anything else on your end, Harry?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we just do the shop page thing real quick, make it look a bit nicer.
Oh, yeah. Good call.
Okay.
You're not sharing your cameras off, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you think we should make it look like? I was thinking just like a card that shows the account that you're connected to, and then like an image grid of the 3 most recent images with truncated captions. Oh, you're on mute there, Mo.
I didn't read the copy entirely, but I kind of messed it up. If you look at like success, and then underneath it says success, this app is now syncing Instagram posts from, and it was supposed to dynamically fetch the. I forgot to put in the fetching the account name from the model.
Shop page.
And then maybe we could like style it and make it bold and big or something, and color it differently or something, and stand out.
What did I call it? Account name?
Yeah, account name.
I guess it'd be a
Instagram
symbol.
account. And maybe like put a Instagram account. Oh, do you want to deep link it to Instagram? I bet you can.
Sure.
I don't know why I said deep link.
Is it?
I think it's just /@ or maybe not even the @ just air horns. Get rid of the @. Yeah.
Nice. I've noticed that no one from the chat has followed me on Instagram, which I thought was going to be my big breakout moment, you know?
This would have been so awkward to do with my Instagram. It's like, there's one picture of me 15 years ago and nothing else.
Mine is absolutely brutal. Don't worry. Okay, there's a href, but I think that's actually not going to work because of the fun iframe thing.
Yeah. Like Shopify appends it to the URL, or
I forget. I always forget how to do this. Oh my god. Remember how hard it was to get it working for the other button?
yeah.
I can just grab that for that one. I love.
You want to explain what's going on here for people who don't know?
Yeah, totally. So, Shopify runs apps in an embedded way in the UI, which is really nice, right? So that the app can share a look and feel that I can still click on the nav from Shopify. But what it actually is doing is it's embedding, Instagram post sync -- development.gadget.app from my app in an iframe within Shopify. And so this link tries to navigate within the iframe instead of outside of it. And so what we need to do is use Shopify's, nasty redirect nonsense to actually, navigate the outer world using the kind of thing that they provided for us. What I think is funny is like one of Remix's big claims to fame, Mo, is that it's just the web platform. Like they love kind of being like, oh, you don't have to do everything in a special way. You can just like send your data like you might to any form submission to a Remix backend. And then it's like, oh, this is not just the web platform at all. This is like super duper custom just to like make a link navigate. You know what I mean? So I find that there's a little bit of hypocrisy there. Let me.
Oh. Did Instagram just let you through the OAuth?
Yes, but I don't think that's the rate
okay.
limit.
It's just the
Yeah.
fetching.
Yeah, there we go. So if you notice that worked this time when I clicked on it because it navigated the whole page instead of just the one thing. Okay, so we've got the account name in there. Very good. And
You want to get rid of the success silliness. Just copy.
oh, sure.
Maybe get rid of the second one, yeah.
Perfect. Also, that spacing looks a bit weird.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah. I think that's better.
Yeah.
How do we do this? There's two things we could do. We could put the success in a notification and then take over the card and use that for last post.
Right.
Or we could just have another card underneath a card that says success. And call it a day.
Yeah, I feel like the pattern is like two cards stacked would be fine.
Yeah, two's fine.
Mike might not like it. But...
Yeah. There's no designer around, so. No.
Let's see what happens if we just make that a card. Well, I guess I want my button in there too. Much
Very
worse.
nice. Very nice.
Much worse. What are the heading variants?
Yeah, you just
Oh, deprecated, eh?
Oh, he's also using Tailwind. Oh, sorry. You're on the admin UI. What am I talking about?
Cool. Is there a... Where is it? Do you like that button giant full width? That's kind of weird.
Yeah, that is kind of weird.
How did he do the...
The what?
Nothing. Okay, so I'm just doing manage button. Is that gonna work? Oh god, this whole thing. They're so mean, where they don't even accept class names half the time. Yeah. But the thing is, I want the other ones to be full width, right? Will that fix it? No.
Mm.
How about this?
Better.
Left aligned or center aligned?
I think left aligned seems fine. Center is probably going to be weird unless you center the title too.
Right.
Honestly, it's a pretty weird looking card.
It sure is, Mo.
Yeah, let me see if I could do better.
I'm such a bad designer. Okay, if I go back to my one PDF I read once, I think it's weird because the information hierarchy is wrong, right? Like the button is smaller than the title, like the relative weight. Hey,
You
Blank
know,
Bob.
this is the part of the live stream where our audience could really help us.
How will we make it in XL? That still looks wonky. You know what? I think we should just power on through and
Yeah,
let.
I would. I just go back to the original designs. I think the whole showing the last post is neat, but it's working.
Yeah, I'm just gonna copy this.
Maybe keep the copy though. I think the linking to the, yeah,
Right.
to the Instagram account part was neat.
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh god.
where's that source control?
Indeed. Sorry, folks. I'm just gonna do this. I thought I had it on my clipboard, but I didn't. We're going to prevent the default on the actual click handler, which is like a really annoying thing, but it means that iframe inside doesn't try to do the navigation, and then dispatch the navigation internally so that it breaks out of the iframe. So there's that. Let's go back, take a look at that. Oh, I need my @ sign. That looks okay. I think it looks a lot better without the card. I don't know why that is. But sure. And then, yeah, Otis Street. So we have gotten a bunch of stuff done today. We have fixed the OAuth to do the like long-lived token stuff. We added rate limit awareness and retries and exhausted our rate limit completely. You might get a kick out of this. Where did it go? Instagram business API. I accidentally wrote an infinite loop and completely saturated it, and so we're not allowed to make Instagram API calls right now, but that's okay. It's gonna give it back to us in, wait for it, 21 minutes. We're gonna be allowed to use the API again. So check mark on the rate limit awareness, that's good. We improved the title of the posts that we were sending. Oh, and we were gonna maybe send the account name as well, along with the metadata. Made the display name a nice thing. What else did we do? Oh yeah, I added actions for refreshing the. Where did it go? The global action to on a schedule refresh all the Instagram tokens and do like the nice pagination thing to kind of do it once a month, where we make sure that we don't get disconnected from Instagram. And then the big thing that we did that you can see on the replay if you want is switch the way that we are actually syncing the posts from Gadget to Shopify to use a Google Cloud task. So when a post is created, we call enqueue Shopify sync instead of sync to Shopify, and the enqueue uses a Google Cloud Tasks client to enqueue a task, which calls back to Gadget as it runs to run this task sync post to Shopify route. The task sync post to Shopify route then actually invokes the real action to sync to Shopify, which does the upserting that we had working last time. And the whole reason for this is just that we want to carefully manage the Shopify API rate limit, and if someone imports, 1 gazillion Instagram posts, we want to kind of retry and sort of feed those into Shopify as fast as it'll accept them, but with robustness to Shopify failing or having a small downtime or whatever. and so we stick them on background queue. And now Mo and I are just absolutely failing to be designers and trying to get the homepage into a shippable state.
I would say keep the success message, dump everything else. You're
Just
good.
delete this whole card.
Yeah, just delete the card. It's like success, go to the meta object to see the data.
Okay. Deleted.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll leave this in here for Mike.
I tried ChatGPTing some components. Did not go well.
It's pretty. Actually, here, let's give that a shot. I wonder if I take a screenshot. And say, where is it? Which one is the one with the multimodal input?
The one you're on, you should be able to do, yeah.
Why does this UI look so bad? Suggest some improvements. Burn on Polaris. Too boring. The font size for the recently is small.
Yeah, fair.
Fair.
Yeah, fair. The success
be more
notification could be
prominent.
bigger? What are you talking about?
That's funny.
Yeah, no, this is nonsense. Okay, so did you want to do a uninstall reinstall flow, or did we just give up on that? It's a one Instagram account to Shopify store flow.
I think one is fine, but we probably should add a disconnect button.
Yeah. So then if we do it that way, what happens on reconnect and I sync again? Am I like overriding all the old meta objects? Am I adding on top and then going and deleting the oldest, I guess? I guess I just add on top, and then if I ever hit the limit, I start overriding the oldest meta object records with the newest data coming in.
Yes.
Okay. So basically, for a while, it'll be a meta object mixed with two Instagram accounts data in there because I connected two and I synced two. But eventually, the active account will wipe out the inactive one. I think, did you add the account field to the meta object definition? I really
No.
think that could be helpful, where
Yeah,
it's like,
We'll do that real quick.
and then that way, whoever's building the widget can decide which Instagram accounts
Yep.
meta object records they want to fetch in case there's multiple accounts.
Actually, I'll just call it account. Okay, so I don't know if y'all remember, but last time we went through a bunch of pain building the Shopify shop action to create the meta object definitions that knows how to like upsert them, which is to say it like will delete and recreate a definition if it exists already. Or maybe, sorry, it doesn't delete and recreate. Does it? Yeah, it does. Which I think means we'll lose all the data that we had remotely. So I'm just going to blow everything away, and then we'll go again from there. And then, so I added it to the definition just now. We still have to sync that to Shopify. Just going to delete this file. And then I also need to add it to the piece that actually does the syncing. And so here we're setting what the meta object is. We have the caption, and I just added a key named account. In this case, the record that we're looking at is a post that has a relationship to the account by ID. It doesn't actually have the account like object in context, so we actually need to fetch that. So I'll just do a quick one in here where I'll do await API Instagram account find by ID record.account ID .name. Oh, and I'm missing incorrect parenthesization there. Is .name a thing? What did I call it? Account name. Account name. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to blow these posts away. but I can't actually sync it again, Mo, because of the thing.
Oh, that sucks. It's okay. I think we'll have people trust us and use their imaginations.
Give me whatever it is, 16 minutes.
Oh, okay. It's not that long.
Yeah.
Maybe we stick around.
Field definition URL is already taken. Huh? I think I messed up the... Huh? So it already exists, and I asked to delete it. Then it successfully deleted. I think this is like maybe some eventual consistency baloney with Shopify. Yeah, I think this happened last weekend again, where I tried it once and it didn't work, and I tried it again and it just worked again. I bet you if I try it.
Definition creation?
Yeah, look at that. The first time it always fails, and then the second time it works.
I think that's a known issue. I've heard it from a few other people too.
Oh.
Let's see.
My guess is that's like some really nasty database thing where like this call returns success. Or sorry, the delete call returns success, but in Shopify's system it hasn't been like fully cleaned up yet. And I bet you if I like add a sleep, it'll like go a bit slower. So this is the new age way of doing sleeps in Node.js is you have set timeout, but it returns a promise if you import it from timers promises. So it's like a little bit sneakier. So here, let's see if that one works. You can see it takes a little bit longer. Status okay. Wow, that's sketchy, Shopify. Okay, we've got that. Oh, maybe we could do the Shopify for file hosting thing.
Oh yeah. Because right now we're storing the posts in Gadget.
Yeah.
Ideally, we do that in Shopify. If you're feeling really ambitious, try the videos as well. But I think photos alone would be enough.
Honestly, I think videos would it won't be very hard if we do that. So my question is, how do you upload a file to a meta object? Let's see. Maybe you have to upload it to Shopify, like to the files section, and then later reference it in a URL, as opposed to like, oh Jesus. Oh my God, this is so annoying. My guess is that they don't just like, if they have this endpoint, they probably don't have a second one for creating meta objects with files. But let's see. Meta object create. Oops. Really can't type, can I? Fields. Field input. The value is just always a string, eh? Wah. But all right. Okay, so let's write it like a function that actually does the file upload, or like copies the URL, and then we can just use that for to copy the Instagram URL into Shopify and then pass it along. Okay, sync posts to, what do I want? Sync to Shopify. So let's do a function down here. We'll call it will take a source URL and, oh, and I guess a Shopify API client. So generate the upload URL and parameters, and then upload the asset. Staged targets. Resource, file name, media type. Wait, I need to tell you the file size ahead of time? That's really annoying. Oh, only for videos. Okay. There's a way to give them a copy URL, I'm pretty sure. Says Simon. And also, this is only product media. But maybe... maybe there's something else. Simon, are you maybe thinking of the Gadget copy URL feature? Because I built that because I didn't want to do all this every time, I remember. But let's do a little bit more reading. File create using, oh, an external URL or for files that were previously uploaded. Heck yeah. That's what we're looking for. You're right. Excellent. I wonder if the permissions for this, like, do we need to do anything to make these like storefront accessible? But I feel like I can just figure that out later. So let's do it. Very good. GraphQL. What is it? File copy mutation. And then we just pass the files. I think these brackets don't need to be there. And create input. Let's see what that takes. Alt, content type, duplicate resolution mode, file name, original source. So we want that. I'm gonna not pass a file name just to let that be inferred because I don't really care. Although I guess like for SEO maybe that matters, but let's call that an advanced feature for some other day. And then for this duplicate resolution mode, I don't really want my thing to fail. So I think I might just say append UUID. Ooh, No, I do want to replace it because if I sync the same post like 8 times, I don't really want to suck up a bunch more data. So maybe I will give it a file name so that it's kind of like predictable for the Instapost thing. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I just want to be a good citizen in the merchant storage, right, and not like completely overwrite their shit every time, or suck up all the stuff. So what is that? Duplicate resolution mode, replace. That file name, we'll call it Insta sync. So we need to get the thing before the question mark in a URL. And then we need to get the I think it's X name. Is that the thing? Returns the extension of the pass from the last occurrence. Yeah, great. Path.ext name gives us the file extension. So I don't want to change that, but I do want to change the file name, right? And then we need some unique identifier for this thingy. So maybe I'll pass in an ID here.
Are you keeping that div for the recently synced post for some reason, or can I get rid of it?
No, you can get rid of it.
Okay.
Oh, I thought I deleted it, but I guess not. Okay, so we've got the response from the GraphQL call, passing in some unique ID. Very good. And then what I'm going to do is instead of just doing the media URL here, I'm going to do an await. What did I call it? Copy file to Shopify. And the ID will be the record.instagram ID so that it's the same regardless of how many times we've synced it or if we've deleted it or whatever. The source URL will be the media URL from Instagram. And I need to pass Shopify down. And then you need to return a URL. So this response is going to have like potentially that user errors and stuff. Where is the output? Files, user errors. Okay. Like technically it should probably be in bulk, but I don't really care. I need to ask for the How do I ask for the URL? Oh God. I guess like I kind of want to let people use the nice liquid helpers for grabbing the right image size and like resizing and like correctly doing responsiveness and whatnot.
That's a good point.
Right, and Simon also mentions that it's asynchronous. So that's annoying. But I think if we like pass the right doodad, like maybe we can actually do the thing at like liquid time. It's kind of uncomfortable, but yeah. Like I want the shop, Like whatever I would do to like show a shop file is kind of what I would want people to do in their liquid to render this thing. Like, does this have a files on it? Generic file. Oh, maybe this is what I want. Is if I use a file reference type on the meta object. So what I actually need is maybe a file ID, I bet. File reference. Nice. Okay. I'm gonna be brave and try to do it this way. So instead of the media URL being a URL type to a Gadget hosted URL, we're gonna do a file reference. And maybe I'll just call this media instead. And then when I go to populate that, I think you probably just pass in the Like what I'm trying to figure out is just exactly what the data shape that you send in for the value of that meta field. Like, is it the file GID thing? Let's just try it. So you're now called media. And what you're supposed to return is a file ID. If response.user errors.length. Okay. Let's see. Response. And I don't really have a great way of testing this. So I'm just going to add myself a global action that does it while we wait. I guess I need to export you. And for a second, we'll just do const Shopify equals fetch one for the exact ID that we're working with to cheat. So I've got my Shopify API object, and then I can do await. All right, why am I doing that in the editor? 1 second. Copy file to Shopify ID test 1 2 3. Source URL will be this image, and Shopify will be that one. Let's try it. Hello. Path is not defined. Oh, that's just me being silly. Hey, question for the folks that are in chat. Do you use the Node.js built-ins very often when you're programming JavaScript? Like, are you aware that those exist, and do you take advantage of them? Because I do all the time, but I also think that that's because I've done a lot of Node in my life, and maybe I'm just weird. Shopify GraphQL. Oh, I bet you that this is async. Yeah. I was sending in a promise for a Shopify instead of a whole Shopify. Let's try it once more. Test file upload. Access denied. Aha! That makes sense. We don't have this permission. In my Shopify plugin here, I'm going to edit this. We previously only asked for these scopes to read and write meta objects, but we need the files write permission as well. And I'm not going to sync the files because I don't really care. So I'm going to confirm that, and then here, whoops, back in here, let's let the provider, what? Huh. I think something we've done is busted reinstalling.
I was playing with the shop page JSX. Let me see if I broke it.
I'm just going to manually do it, and I can sort that out after.
Did the URL just change?
I just uninstalled it.
Oh,
I'm just going to reinstall it real quick.
So
why didn't we
weird
see
when
that
I
banner
see
for?
Sorry, I was gonna say it's so weird when I see the cursor moving on a file that we're both on.
Yeah. So I'm going to recreate the meta object definitions, so it should have that like media thing there. And then let's try the upload once more. Logger is not defined. Whoops. I think that's this here. I forgot to import it. Save that. Give it one more crack. Cannot read properties of undefined length. My guess is that's this. User errors. Oh, I probably just need that where there's no user errors if it doesn't error. Silly me. My guess is that's still busted. What did it log? Oh, frig. Oh my god. This needs, so the response that I was getting back has this like wrapper object file create, and so I was just looking at the wrong stuff always. So this is actually supposed to be this. And this is supposed to be this. Okay, and then what the actual error was, our thing here was duplicate resolution mode replaces not supported for missing media type. Okay. So maybe it really wants me to send in a media type. I don't want to, though. I want it to figure it out. But, all right. Content type, image. I really think that this is important so that we don't spam image creations. Simon, we added that recently. It's new, the logger import thing. But yes, there's a root logger you can import now, which is kind of nice. Oh, frig. Content type. Image. There we go. So what did it say? It gives us back an ID. I think if I were a Shopify developer, I would, for my file meta field input mutation, accept that GID. But I truly have no idea if that's actually how it works. So let me, let's make a fake post here. And just see what happens. What's media type? What is that even? I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, and then that's gonna fail. Oh, because I made up a not existing shop and account. So let me fix that. It's account ID 9. What I'm trying to do here is just get around the fact that we don't actually have access to real posts coming from Instagram for a few more minutes yet. So I'm just kind of adding one to my database we can use as a test, and I'm just going to fake the image URL there. And then what that'll do is just kind of let us test at least syncing this to straight to Shopify. Okay, so I should have a post here. I'm going to delete this busted one. We've copied in the whatever, we have it set up for our shopping account. So I think if I now run on post 244, tell it to sync to Shopify. Oops. God damn it. 244. Cannot read properties null of replace. Meta object title. Oh, I didn't give it a caption, did I? Maybe I should just make that be amenable to posts without captions. Yeah, sure. I don't know if Instagram can do that, but I don't really care. Okay, here we go. Meta object create input fields to value, expected value not to be null. That seems like the call to Shopify to create the meta object is failing. Oh, because the caption's null. God damn it. Okay, I'm just going to update my Instagram post to have a caption. Caption test. Very good.
How do you use this playground without autocomplete?
With difficulty, Mo. With difficulty. I should say too, this is still we haven't like finished it, right? So it's kind of grody. It's just it's so much nicer to me that it's like dense, where I can kind of like see what I've done before.
Yeah. It's also nice that it's just JavaScript.
Yeah, for sure. Handle is invalid.
So for those who missed it, that's a JavaScript JS playground. Right now we have a GraphQL playground that's live for all of you, but there is a internal JS playground that we're working on that Harry likes to use in his demos, and that is the screen you're looking at right now. And it's coming. Once we have autocomplete and a few other features, we'll make sure that this is in your hands as well.
Yeah, maybe I should adopt the same tools that we actually are using.
I like how I do the same thing. I run on like a beta version of Gadget and confuse half my audience.
Oops. Okay.
It's a good thing you don't have the source control stuff on.
Yeah, I also messed up where I provided an Instagram ID that said example space value space for this field, and so I had to fix that. Let's try this once more. Okay, there. The sync appears to have worked. Let's go look at the meta objects here. Ah, media. Nice. As blank glob dictates, blank glob shall get. I gotta fix the extension has a dot on it itself already, it looks like. But that's dope. And then, Simon, I think I managed to ninja dodge the asynchrony issue because Shopify gives me back a file ID and they'll just do the uploading and I'm referencing the file just by ID and it seems like the ID is created immediately. So that's nice. Cool. So then one other thing I can do is just like delete the media column we have in Gadget here. We don't need to copy the media anymore. So I'm just going to remove that and maybe I'll put a media URL string field, or how about URL field, that lets me kind of capture that. I think that this URL will be a little bit busted because it will expire, but at least get like kind of shows us that we recorded it and allows us to like pass it through over time. So when we sync posts, we're going to get this media URL, and instead of saying media into Gadget copy URL, we'll say media URL is the media URL from Instagram. Just copy it like that. And then when we go to do the sync to Shopify, when we're saying copy a file, we're not going to do record.media.url, we'll do record.media URL, which is just the straight unchanged URL from Instagram. That means we don't have to pay Gadget for storage, and that's kind of nice. And let's check my delinquency status. Am I still evil? Hey,
You're
okay.
back.
We're back.
Do you mind if I try it this time?
Sure.
With a much bigger Instagram account?
Yeah.
Yeah, or you can keep driving. I'll just do it in the background.
Oh, okay, sure.
Unless you want me to.
Nope. I'm just going to copy the ID of this, and I have this action we were using for testing last time called ingest posts, which is what gets called immediately after connection, but keeping it separate like this means we're able to run it independently for testing, which is quite handy. So I've just invoked it on my one post there, and we should see a whole bunch of post records being created. That's great. Ugh. File provided extension must match original source. Provided file name extension must match original source. Oh, that's weird. Just gonna turn off the live results for a second. So my guess is that my
Harry, can I blow away your data?
sure.
Okay.
Just going to do a const file name here. Do file name there. So something's, I think maybe what's happening is Shopify is looking at the source URL and expecting, yeah, exactly, expecting the source URL extension to match the file name that I'm passing exactly. It's a bit weird though, because it's like, why don't you let me change the extension if I want to? And the thing is, I don't even really care about the extension. I just need to pass a file name if I want this duplicate resolution mode replace thing, which means that we're not accidentally like re-uploading over and over to Shopify. So I'm just gonna log out this stuff here so we can look at it more. And for one of the posts now. Wait, what? Oh, you deleted them, Amo?
Yep.
Okay.
If you give me a second, I'll have them back. just reinstalling the app.
Oh, you deleted my account too.
Yeah. Wasn't
Yeah.
sure if I needed to do that or not. Sorry.
No worries. My app is. Where is it? Did you uninstall the app too?
Yeah, I'm about to install it and go through the whole flow with a new account.
Oh, I see.
If
Okay.
you give me like 1 minute, there'll be data in there.
Sure. On data diversity test?
Yeah, I'm going to do
Okay.
it on that. Just installing now. And should be installing. Connecting to my Instagram feed. Neat. And that should be it. Okay, it should be syncing a boatload of posts.
So it is.
There we go. I see one. I see single post.
Wait. Oh, there's that error. Okay. Provided file name must match extension. So the source URL. Oh no.
Something's off. I'm definitely creating the records in Gadget, but I'm not getting them in Shopify right now.
Yeah, I broke one thing.
Oh, okay, cool. I got the first one in Shopify, but not all of them.
Right. I don't see any in Shopify. I just see the test one.
Oh, I thought that was one from Shen's Instagram store.
Nope.
Okay, then none of them came through. But it did create the records in Shopify, I think. There's a lot of errors. I just switched to the errors.
Okay, so what I'm trying to do, the only thing I want to do is pass this duplicate resolution mode replace thing, which says to Shopify, when I upload a file, if there's already one existing, erase it. Oh, and then I'm also not filtering for videos. Yes. Why don't, I'm just going to try this. I'm just going to try not giving a crap about the file name, and let's just see if it works. So for an image, this one, let's do post sync to Shopify. That appears to have worked. And Mo, you're working against, yeah. Okay, so if I don't pass anything, and then let's try a video. Just see what happens. This post is a video. Invalid video URL. Why are you invalid? Maybe it's already expired? Nope. There's Shannon. Why is it? Oh, Mo, you're on mute there.
It was just saying this is my wife's Instagram account, if anyone's wondering.
Not just some random. That's funny. Do you think that like merchants would want both images and video all the time?
I don't know. I think the video is a bit of a, like, I could see a carousel of, like Instagram shorts on my website as social proof, I guess. And I could see a mixed carousel too, but I feel like the app developer or the theme developer would pick and choose images and videos and probably not put them in the same kind of component. You never know.
I think often for that social proof, you just want to scroll by it.
Yeah.
Like you scroll by it on the way to the bottom.
Yeah. It's like individual cards, and one of them could be image, one of them could be video. So I think,
What
yeah, sorry.
can
So,
we?
like, how does that relate to what you're dealing with right now?
I was just gonna say if we descope video, I think we're done-ish,
Yeah,
and
I
then we
think
could
let's
like
just
come back and
descope
do
it and we
video as
come
a
back
second
in.
thing.
Yeah.
And Simon, I totally believe you that the upload process for videos have to be special. I'm just trying to get out of having to do it that way, um, prioritizing based on effort. Let's filter those out then when we go to do the sync. So say like record dot. Whoops. Media type. Oh no, but the carousels.
The other thing we might want to do eventually is,
Cute.
oh, never mind. I thought the status draft was from Instagram, but that's the meta object record status. What does that status do? Once I go from
Which?
draft, it like the meta object record status, does it just expose it in liquid?
Yes.
In Shopify. Okay.
Yes, that's correct. So I'm just going to say at the top of the sync thing, we're just not going to sync it if it's not an image post type. And then in the in queue, or sorry, in the create, I'm also going to do the same thing where I'm going to say like if, oops, I'm only going to in queue a sync if it is the type that we want. And then we should see it just not mess with the videos. Nice. Okay, so if I go in sync all the posts, for this new account, it's account 10. Thank you, Shannon. Oh. It's gonna go. Oh shoot, I forgot to change this. We have to do this on update as well. Very good. Okay, I'm not seeing any errors anymore, and I am seeing the tasks come and do the syncs to Shopify.
Looks good. I see them coming in.
Yep.
I think I did some spot checking. I can't see one that's not there, so.
Cool. And it should be. Oops.
The images are there, the content's there, everything's there.
Yeah.
Neat. Okay, cool. I think that's it, Harry. I think we built an app end to end.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay. I think we should call it here. And what I'm going to do is live again. There might have been a little glitch, but we're back live. I think it might have glitched out for a moment.
Absolutely.
It's all good. Harry hit a stop recording button, so there's a little bump there. We are going to shoot a little video of the app because you need a little video, or ideally you have a little video when you submit to the App Store, and I also want to put it on our landing page, and then I will publish all of the assets and expose the template for the one-pager that I used for the landing page. And then, yeah, the app will be available for free once Shopify approves it, and any app developer that wants to migrate Instagram posts to Metaobjects can just use the app for free, and then build on top of that a theme or an app or whatever it is you're trying to build with the Instagram post performantly. So you're all more than welcome to use it. We're also going to make it a forkable template in Gadget. So if you want a variation of this, where maybe you're mutating some of the data from Instagram before sending it to a Shopify Meta object, fork the template, you have our code, tweak the code, run it yourself. So both of those will be available. Thank you all so much for bearing with us for the 6 hour and 40-minute end-to-end Shopify app build. I will say, I think for something not orchestrated, not rehearsed, two people who I think you folks realize, like, we don't actually know most of Shopify's APIs inside out. It's been a very, very long time since we used them, and often you folks know more than we do. What we know is Gadget. We can start and finish something as robust as what we've built in front of you in 6 hours. Now, obviously, that's Harry, and he's a maniac who doesn't need to read docs,
Shush.
and he can kind of recall weird library behaviors from his head. But for a normie, it might be 10 to 20 hours end to end. And along the way, while we were doing this, we had two merchants reach out to ask to install the app on their stores. One of them found out there's no carousel; it's just gonna sync to Metaobjects, so he dropped out. But the other one's still interested as well. So just illustrates like how little effort it took us to go from a decent idea from obviously a third party, in this case Blank Lob, to a working app and an interested merchant that is looking to install that app end to end 7 hours. Not too bad. So don't overthink things. Pick up Gadget, build fast, and don't spend 10 hours thinking about what to build for 5. I think we'll leave you with that. Thank you all for joining again, and be on the lookout for the assets. Take care, everybody.
Thanks so much.